Down and out, riddled with doubt, had nowhere to go. Everything's moving so slow, but time's moving too fast. I hope this feeling don't last. Well, I've been away from myself too long. My body is aching from all my wrongs. And now that I know I'm not that strong, I'll keep slipping on to you. I'll keep slipping until my time is through. I'll keep slipping on to you, yeah, on to you. Well, I've been away from myself too long. My body is aching from all my wrongs. And now that I know I'm not that strong, I'll keep slipping on to you. I'll keep slipping until my time is through. I'll keep slipping on to you, yeah, on to you. I was down and out, so riddled with doubt.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Deo, Deo.
Baby's got a burger and a shooter and that shake is all go down. Baby's got a burger and a shooter and that shake is all go down. Corrosion, corrosion to her thighs, erosion, erosion of her pride. Baby's got, baby's got, baby's got corrosion now, corrosion now. Baby's got it.
Greetings and salutations from the front lines of your local Piggly Wiggly. It's me, your Uncle Warren. 10:12 here, Central Time here in Chicagoland. A little bit cloudy out there today, about 83 degrees, and of course, delicious humidity, the way nature intended. Hope you're doing well this morning, folks. Let's check in on everybody. We got Ghost Start over there holding it down on Rumble. Good to see you, brother. Mystery, good morning to you. Happy Schmooze Day. Oh, I see what you did there because it rhymes with Tuesday. See? I explained it because I am not funny. Miss Lainey Peterson in the house too. Hey is to you. We got Chuck's Intergalactic UFO Show Intergalactic. Guess what, folks? The hype train. He says the jazz train. Choo choo. All babies are trains when they're born because all they want to do is chew, chew, chew food. But Chuck's Intergalactic UFO Show is about to give birth to another episode here coming soon. Sooner than soon. You know, people say coming soon, and you're like, well, when? And you're like, well, I can't divulge that information to you. But this is like soon. So looking forward to that. Did I say, hey, CBC voter, good to see you, my friend. And we got Steve G. And of course, the man, the myth, the legend himself, the Willie Bragg Show's very own Willie Bragg in the house. AI is a great tool when you are writing short stories. They make the conversations more realistic and they save me from grammatical and spelling errors. It's a great therapy. Sure. See, that's what I'm saying. The shit that's going to help you write term papers is that those aren't going to be your robot overlords. All right. Siri might, or Alexa, the ones that actually hook up to your home shit. But you know, if you're just like, you know, putting your friends' heads on the Avengers or some shit like that and making them, that's just fun shit. We were talking about that on the Secret Show Saturday. And if you're not watching the Secret Show, I can probably understand why. But we were talking about AI, and our buddy was talking on there. Miguel was talking about how he doesn't like AI, and I'm like, yeah, AI. So because you have AI, but you have AGI. The AGI is the scary shit. The advanced general intelligence. That's the shit the military and DARPA and all these countries are working on. The Chinese have their own version. I'm sure Russia has theirs too. Everybody has their own super intelligence is what they're calling it, super intelligence. But, you know, putting your head on Wonder Woman's body and, you know, I'm sure that's okay. I'm sure you'll be fine. Global, good to see you. Yes, number 2 tries harder. But you know what number 2 also is. I don't know if you want to try that harder. But unless, you know, you don't eat enough fiber. And Max, good to see you. Yeah, it's bullshit. Max, I know you contacted me the other day on YouTube about Kate. Were you able to get a hold of our friend Kameshwari Kate? I think she went to the doctor or something, but we haven't heard from her since, right? Max, if you know anything or if anybody knows about Kate, let us know in the comments over here, and we appreciate it. I hope she's doing okay. Oh, we got a new Patreon, Syrian Pine. I think that, did I say his name right? Oh, I hope so. I'm not looking at his name, and his name is very unique. So, but it's another person. So, you know, cool. Thank you for that. Joining the broke as a joke, just like the rest of us. You've been excommunicated from Twitter, Mystery. I'm sorry. That's probably maybe a good thing. I have too, man. I used to get some kind of, you know, response to my posts on there, but not so much anymore. Maybe like a handful of people will, but you know, I don't really care though. It's a lot of sewage on there. We need to find better avenues of communication with people for sure. So thank you for that. And if you want to be a Patreon member, the links are down below. And we'll put your name up there on the train tracks as we go around the corner there. Choo choo. So if you want to ride the train, you can join Patreon, the Patreon money train. And speaking of the money train, folks, you know me, I'm always like talking about taking baths and money, you know, and $100 bills and, you know, just enjoying the goodness that money provides. So, you know, so in order to do that though, I need to sell shit. And that means I got to sell Desperation Blend Extra Dark Roast Ground Coffee. Folks, if you don't know what misery is, then you haven't had this coffee. Grown by Zionists who danced on New Jersey rooftops during 9/11. This particularly evil blend combines racial and religious supremacy with a bold flavor of genocide and a hint of cinnamon. Deemed a war criminal by The Hague, this Java will have you buying off and blackmailing world leaders in no time. Are you tired of a foreign country making all the rules for you and your coffee needs? Would you like to sleep terribly at night knowing you bought shitty coffee from a grifter? Then grab a bag of desperation. This shit right here. Wait a minute. This shit right here. I don't know how to do that. Desperation Blend Extra Dark Roast Ground Coffee, found online and in BB's nutsack. That's the bit for that. You know, whoop 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 whoop. I'm all over the place. I hit all the buttons except the one I wanted. I get too caught up in that coffee bit, and I have to. I'm like, yay! And then like, oh shit, where am I? All right. So later in the show, we have a huge propaganda watch coming up later for you. It's pretty big, and we got another James Lee video for you in there as well. But okay, there you are. Okay, Kate's on the Facebook there. I'm incredibly busy here today. I just can't break away for even 1 month. Okay, dear, we just want to make sure you're safe. Like they hadn't taken you away up there in Canada. So we care about our favorite Canadian peeps, right? They're good people. All right. But this news is not good. As you know, it's always bad. So let's get to it. Israel bombs Syrian tanks in Suwaida as Druze call for international protection. Druze, I said. D-R-U-Z-E if you're just listening to this. I didn't say the J word. The Israeli army bombarded the South Syrian governorate of Suwaida yesterday, coinciding with heavy clashes between Druze armed factions and extremist groups affiliated with Damascus. Hold on a second, I got a little thing here. There you go. The Israeli army said in a statement that it attacked a short while ago several tanks in the village of Sami, that's Suwaida, in the south of Syria, adding that more details would follow. Israel's Channel 12 reported that Syrian tanks crossed the border set by Israel in southern Syria, so Israel aircraft struck them. The attack took place as clashes in Suwaida continued between extremist militias and pro-government tribesmen on the one hand and Druze armed factions on the other. The fighting erupted on Sunday after Bedouin fighters set up a checkpoint on the Damascus-Suwaida highway where they robbed and brutally beat a young Druze man, triggering a series of retaliatory attacks. The Syrian Defense Ministry announced yesterday that its forces have entered Suwaida province to restore order and put an end to the fighting. However, Syrian state forces have been accused of participating in battles against Druze factions alongside the tribal militias and other groups. Later on Monday, Syrian troops shelled villages in the western Suwaida countryside. In response to the distress calls and pleas of the people of Suwaida and in coordination with influential parties in the province, a security deployment plan has been prepared by the Ministries of Defense and Interior to enforce the rule of law and state authority and to disarm outlaw groups, Syrian Interior Ministry spokesperson Noureddin al-Baba announced. Things are moving toward a decisive outcome in the interest of the Syrian state within the vision set by the presidency, noting that based on positive communication with the active parties in Suwaida, the deployment plan has been implemented in the province. He went on to say, adding that outlaw groups are trying to seize the opinion of the civil movement in Suwaida. Yeah, that's how you do it. According to the Syrian Observer for Human Rights, SOHR, the death toll from the violent clashes has risen to 89 people, among them state security forces, allied militants, Druze fighters, and civilians, including, of course, as always, children. Nearly 200 have been injured. Syria's defense ministry confirmed the deaths of six Syrian soldiers. In response to the violence, the spiritual leader of the Syrian Druze community, Hikmat al-Hijri, made a call for international protection of the Druze community. Hijri denounced the entry of Syrian security forces into areas of Suwaida. He accused them of entering the government under the pretext of protecting the people, but instead shelled villages and supported the Takfiri gangs and heavy weapons and drones during the latest clashes. Israel has previously claimed it wishes to support the Druze minority and prevent its persecution by Damascus, which has been engaged in negotiations with Tel Aviv lately on potential normalization and security arrangements. Israeli strikes targeted Damascus-linked fighters during a previous round of fighting with the Druze in late April. Israeli occupation forces continued to solidify their grasp on southern Syria after occupying it following the fall of former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's government and pushing for a complete demilitarization of the area. If Israel claims to support and wants to support you, shake your head like this, like really fast, and then run away and get an adult. All right, because nobody needs Israel's help. That is for fucking sure. So, Israel likes to bomb and murder people. As we go around the Middle East, as Israel launches wave of attacks on eastern Lebanon, we go from Syria to Lebanon. Several people were injured in the eastern Lebanese Bekaa region today after Israel launched a wave of airstrikes on the area claiming to target Hezbollah facilities. Yeah, that's always Hezbollah or Hamas or the Houthis, the Triple H. The Israeli enemy's raids on the Bekaa Valley resulted in a preliminary toll of 6 injuries, the Lebanese health ministry announced. The eastern mountains southeast of Baalbek was struck by Israeli jets on Tuesday afternoon. A short while earlier, Israeli strikes targeted the outskirts of the town of Shmastar and Wadi Ali west of Baalbek. Israeli warplanes and drones have also continued to fly at low altitude over several areas of Lebanon, including the Jabil area in northwestern Lebanon. These are not the Druze you seek. Ba-dum-bum. Okay. 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 The Israeli army said in a statement that it was attacking targets of the Radwan force in the Bekaa area. It said Hezbollah's elite Radwan force has been working to restore its capabilities. The military camps that were attacked are used by the Hezbollah terror organization to conduct training and qualifications for terrorists for planning and carrying out terror attacks against IDF forces and the State of Israel. As part of the training and qualifications, the terrorists undergo exercises for the use of various types of weapons, it added. The new Israeli ceasefire violations come as Lebanon is coming under increasing U.S. pressure to disarm Hezbollah. Probably not a good move there. It also coincides with growing concern about the potential threat of Damascus-linked Syria extremist groups launching incursions into Lebanese territory, particularly via the Syrian-Lebanese border and the Bekaa region, through which such infiltrations have taken place in past years. U.S. envoy Tom Barak, Barak? What's his last name? Warned last week that if Lebanon did not move quick to disarm the resistance, the country would become Bilad al-Sham, historical name for Greater Syria again, adding that Syrians say Lebanon is our beach resort. The comments were perceived as a threat from Washington because that's what they do. The Lebanese resistance has reportedly rejected surrendering its weapons. Hezbollah says it is ready for internal discussions on the formation of a Lebanese defensive strategy through which the group's arms would be incorporated into the state for use in deterring Israel. However, it says these discussions cannot take place as long as Israel continues to attack Lebanon and occupy its territory. Makes sense. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz threatened Hezbollah Secretary General Naim Qassam on July 6th after the resistance leader rejected surrender. The Hezbollah leader's remarks indicate that he has not learned from Hassan Nasrallah and his successor, the defense minister said, referring to the assassination of the group's leadership in Beirut last year. So, and of course, we got to go back to Gaza. Here we go. And they're always murdering people in Gaza. Israel kills more than 130 Palestinians in 24 hours. Israeli forces killed more than 130 Palestinians in Gaza in a single day, including several children who were attempting to collect water for their hungry families in the besieged enclave. The Palestinian Health Ministry reported on Sunday that at least 139 bodies had been brought to Gaza's hospital in the past 24 hours, with a number of unaccounted people presumed dead under the rubble. Medical officials told reporters that at least 24 Palestinians had been killed whilst on their way to a food distribution site near Rafah, run by the controversial Israeli and U.S.-backed GHF, which is, it's just a death. They might as well just call that a death trap. According to the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, nearly 800 Palestinians have been killed while trying to access aid in Gaza between late May, when GHF launched its operations, and July 7th. Scores more have been killed since then. Meanwhile, health officials said 7 children were killed after an Israeli airstrike targeted a water distribution site in central Gaza. The Israeli military has claimed that the strike was a result of a technical malfunction that had caused the missile to fall dozens of meters from the target. Oopsie! Are they actually saying this was an oopsie? Motherfuckers. In a post on the tweeters, Catherine Russell, the executive director of the UN, the Emergency Child Fund, that's UNICEF, called for an immediate and lasting ceasefire following the strike. Yet again, we're seeing horrific reports of the killing of 7 children in Gaza, this time as they were waiting for water. at a distribution site. This comes days after several children and women were killed waiting for nutritional supplies. The Israeli authorities must urgently review the rules of engagement and ensure full compliance with international humanitarian law, notably the protection of civilians, including children. Israel's relentless bombardment of Gaza killed at least 110 Palestinians on Saturday, including 34 people waiting for food at a GHF site in Rafah. Meanwhile, UNICEF reported that more than 5,800 children had been diagnosed with malnutrition, with more than 1,000 suffering from severe acute malnutrition. This is an emergency situation for the survival of children. Aid must be delivered quickly and on a massive scale, it stressed. According to the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, that's UNRWA, truckloads of food and medical supplies are waiting in warehouses outside Gaza. Stop the starvation, lift the siege, let the UN, including UNRWA, do its life-saving work, they said in a post on Twitter. Food shortages in hashtag Gaza are pushing children to the brink. Without urgent care, they won't just suffer, they could die, they warned in another statement. For months, the Israeli military has imposed a tight siege on the Gaza Strip, severely limiting the flow of life-saving essential nutritional relief and medical necessities. In a report released earlier in July, the UK-based rights group Amnesty International condemned Israel for deliberately using starvation as a weapon for war in Gaza, with the GHF serving as a tool to deepen the humanitarian catastrophe and sustain the ongoing genocide. The report noted that Israel is systematically inflicting starvation and disease on Palestinians by manipulating humanitarian relief efforts. Israel's genocide has continued unabated in Gaza, including through the infliction of conditions of life that have created a deadly mix of hunger and disease, pushing the population past breaking point, said Amnesty's Secretary General Agnes Callamard. Yeah. So, more murder. Children, women, children, civilians. Saw some fuckhead on Twitter the other day. I support the IDF. Yep. So you'd support a fucking cult. I don't normally engage on Twitter anymore, but I had to respond to that motherfucker. I said, look, there's two things that happen to children in Israel. One of them is these children get shot in the head. And they're the lucky ones, because the other ones, you know, things happen to them because there's so many fucking pedos there per capita than any place in the world. You put two and two together, it's like, and places got to be hell on earth. Sorry. I know it's supposed to be some funsies, but my God, there's still people who think that Israel is defending themselves. Meanwhile, Israeli concentration camp in Rafah to confine Gaza's entire population, according to a report. So, yeah, they don't have to worry about getting murdered. Now they get to spend time in the concentration camp. Israeli officials briefed journalists and foreign diplomats on a plan to force the entire population of Gaza, over 2 million people, into a concentration camp controlled by Israel's military close to the Gaza-Egypt border, the New York Times reported on July 14th, which was yesterday. The Israeli government has yet to formally announce or comment on the plan, which was first proposed last week by Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz during a briefing with Israeli correspondents who focus on military affairs. The New York Times reviewed readouts of the briefing written by its attendees. Initial reports suggested 600,000 Palestinians would be forced into the camp. That wasn't, yeah, we told you about that. The newspaper noted that, according to legal experts, the plan would violate international law, what else is new, and amount to ethnic cleansing, because Palestinian civilians forced into the camp would be forbidden from ever returning to their homes in the north of the devastated enclave. Basically, once they're in, they can't come out. That's a fucking prison camp. It's a concentration camp. Hamas has cited Kat's proposal as one of the latest obstacles to reaching a new ceasefire deal. Hussam Badran, a senior member of the group, described the establishment of the camp on the ruins of Rafah in southern Gaza as a deliberately obstructive demand that would complicate ceasefire talks. This would be an isolated city that resembles a ghetto. Like the Warsaw ghettos, is they were comparing it to. Badran said on Monday, "This is utterly unacceptable and no Palestinian would agree to this." That they don't care what the Palestinians do. If the U.S. backs it, it's A-okay, baby. When Israeli officials have described the camp as a humanitarian city, others, including former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert, have described it as a concentration camp resembling those holding Jews and other prisoners in World War II. It is a concentration camp. I'm sorry, Olmert stated when asked about the plans. I wish he would have said sorry, not sorry, when he said that. Once inside, Palestinians would not be allowed to leave except to go to other countries, Katz confirmed. If the Palestinians will be deported into the new humanitarian city, then you can say that this is part of an ethnic cleansing. And this is one of their own people saying this. Earlier this year, Trumpy suggested cleansing Gaza of its 2.2 million residents so it could be transformed and rebuilt as the Riviera of the Middle East. Trump's special envoy to the region and point man for ceasefire negotiations with Hamas is Steve Witkoff, as you know, the founder and chairman of the Witkoff Group, a New York real estate development firm. Yes. That's a lot of people don't know that about Witkoff. It's not shocking, but the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, is also a prominent New York real estate developer through his family business, Kushner Companies. In March, Kushner described the very valuable potential of Gaza's waterfront property. He suggested Israel should remove Palestinians while it cleans up the Strip. Yeah. Yes. So, this concentration camp. And people, I can't believe that people are just letting this slide that have any sort of power. Where's Bernie talking about this concentration camp? That fucking pussy piece of shit. Israel has a right to defend itself. Fuck off, you Barney Rubble sounding motherfucker. So there are families there in Israel who are hostages of Hamas, right? That's a truism. That's facts, right? And I have to believe that these families that of these captives genuinely and sincerely want their families back at this point, right? Especially after being so long. I don't know what kind of people they may be, just like the most hateful people, whatever, but their families are gone. And so they took it upon themselves to actually contact Hamas themselves, cut out the middle bitches as, this is an exclusive to Middle East Eye. Families of Israeli captives reach out to Hamas over the fate of ceasefire talks. This is the way it probably should be. Keep the fucking government out of it. The families of Israeli captives held in Gaza reached out to Hamas through a representative to ask about the fate of stalled ceasefire talks. Middle East Eye can reveal. Some sources told MEE that the third party reached out to Hamas after the captives' families feared Israeli Prime Minister and total human scumbag Benjamin Netanyahu was trying to torpedo a possible deal. A senior figure within Hamas told the representative to relay to the families that it was serious about reaching an agreement to end the war and release the captives, but it was facing, quote, intransigent Israeli positions, sources told Middle East Eye. Hamas is serious about reaching an agreement to end the war and establish arrangements that ensure calm and stability. It has demonstrated significant flexibility and positive responsibility during the negotiation rounds, the sources quoted Hamas as saying. Israel has insisted on continuing the war, destroying the Gaza Strip, displacing its population, and imposing a state of hunger, suffering, and ongoing massacres that have not ceased for a single day. Hamas and Israel reached a brief three-stage ceasefire in January, but the deal collapsed in March after Israel took back several of its captives and resumed bombing Gaza, walking away from the deal before talks with Hamas on a permanent end to the war could even start. Since then, Trumpy has given Israel full backing to wage war on Gaza, and he's about to do that with Ukraine too, apparently, since Putin pissed him off. Made his feelings sad. Made him go where? According to sources, the Hamas officials told the representative that the Palestinian movement had complied with everything stipulated in the first phase of the previous ceasefire, which was supposed to transition to phase 2 talks on ending the war. Before withdrawing from the ceasefire, Hamas said that Israel committed hundreds of violations, including deploying troops beyond buffer zones, killing 132 civilians, preventing the inflow of reconstruction material, and remaining in the Philadelphia corridor that separates Gaza from Egypt. Hamas reportedly told the representative that despite Israel unilaterally resuming the war, it responded to proposals by mediators to revive the ceasefire, but Israel rejected them and insisted on releasing half of the Israeli prisoners without offering any guarantees that the war would cease. In fact, it openly insisted on its continuation. As it stands, there are believed to be around 20 living captives in Gaza and just over 30 dead Israelis. Since October 7th attacks, the country's military has only rescued 8 captives in raids that have seen hundreds of Palestinians killed. In their conversation, Hamas also told the representative to relay to the captives' families that Israel had, without any justification, returned to war in a shocking, more brutal, and more destructive manner than before, committing massacres on a daily basis. According to sources, the Hamas official told the representative that despite the mounting civilian death toll, it had no problem with resuming negotiations and had responded to several proposals presented by mediators, but Israel rejected them and insisted on releasing half of the Israeli prisoners without offering any guarantees that the war would cease. The official also reportedly told the representative that despite the daily massacres, where on average 100 Palestinians are killed every 24 hours, it had no problem with resuming negotiations and responded to several proposals presented. They already just said that. The group also maintained that it responded positively to U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff's ceasefire proposal in order to reach an agreement, but Netanyahu was taking a hardline stance and seeking to control large swaths of the Strip and displace more than 600,000 Palestinians. The sources said that the Hamas official reiterated that Netanyahu was to blame for the captives' plight after he rejected the group's offer to release all Israeli prisoners at once in exchange for ending the war. So it's not about the prisoners. It never was about the prisoners. The sources said that Hamas also told the representatives that it was ready to transfer power after the war ends to an independent professional committee to govern Gaza with full powers, and that the group would not play any role in running the enclave. On Sunday, Trump said talks on a Gaza ceasefire were going along well, repeating remarks he made a week earlier when Netanyahu visited Washington and got his, knob polished. In contrast, Middle East Eye reported on Saturday that Hamas negotiators were skeptical that a ceasefire agreement could be reached in the current round of talks in Doha, Qatar. Sources close to Palestinian negotiators said talks have remained deadlocked over at least 2 of 4 key issues. The first is the extent of the proposed Israeli withdrawal from the Gaza Strip during a 60-day truce. The second is the method of aid distribution. Yeah, because that GHF, they ain't going to agree to that. Peace Dove, what's up? Good to see you. check out, make sure. Okay. All right. The U.S. has reportedly proposed postponing discussions on these 2 points, instead focusing on the names of Palestinian prisoners to be released by Israel in exchange for the remaining Israeli captives. According to the sources, Hamas told the representative for captives' families that it asks to amend these 3 points related to the distribution of aid, the deployment of Israeli soldiers in Gaza, and guarantees on ending the war after an initial 60-day truce is over. However, Israel has taken a hardline stance, particularly in its redeployment maps, where it seeks to control approximately 36% of the Gaza Strip's area and keep approximately 600,000 residents displaced and unable to return to their homes, Hamas is reported to have said. Israel has repeatedly rejected our offer to return all Israeli prisoners at once in exchange for ending the war. They rejected it and preferred a partial solution. This is a clear indication of their intention to continue the war, and their disregard for prisoners as a central issue for Israeli society, it added. For more than 21 months, Israel has relentlessly bombed the besieged Strip, displacing the entire 2.3 million population multiple times, and has killed well over 58,000, thousands and thousands, mostly civilians. And that's the kind of a thing there. Yeah, so Hamas wants to make a deal, right? But it's like they're basically saying, look, we don't have anything against you. Seem like nice people, all right? But we can't hand over these prisoners because Israel just keeps fucking with us. And they won't, they break these ceasefires all the time. And we don't trust them. We want to end the war. We'll let all of you out if they'll just end the war. But endless war makes money, y'all. Y'all know that. Been doing that for decades. Endless war, endless profits. Anonymous, what's up? Good afternoon from Batshit Bonkers, Britain, where life gets weirder by the day. I got some British news for you later. So you came in right on time there, good sir. It's summertime, right? Here in North America, in the northern hemisphere. Israel's in the northern hemisphere. Palestine's in the northern hemisphere. And it's hot as hell. And sometimes you just want to take your mind off of getting blown up and shot and murdered, and you want to jump in the ocean and cool off and get away from shit for just a second. But they can't even do that over there, as in an act of brutal sadism, Israel bans Gazans from entering the sea under pain of death. Yeah. Self-defense. That's what they say, right? Self-defense. Isn't that the thing? Self-defense. Israel has warned Gazans to stay out of the Mediterranean Sea or risk getting killed under wartime restrictions that critics say serve no security purpose and are meant to deprive Palestinians of a key source of sustenance and respite from the horrific realities of 21 months of constant death and destruction. Strict security restrictions have been imposed in the maritime area adjacent to Gaza. Entry to the sea is prohibited. Israel Defense Forces, known as the Nazis, Arabic language spokesperson Aviche Adre wrote on the social tweeters, "This is a call to fishermen, swimmers, and divers. Refrain from entering the sea. Entering the beach and waters along the entire Gaza Strip endangers your lives." While Israel has imposed a maritime blockade on Gaza since 2007 following Hamas's victory in legislative elections and subsequent takeover of the coastal enclave, restrictions were tightened after October 7th as part of the complete siege that has caused deadly malnutrition throughout the Strip, whereas Israel's 646-day U.S.-backed onslaught has left more than 211,000 Palestinians dead, maimed, or missing, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. However, the IDF appears to have not enforced the post-October 7th ban on entering the sea against swimmers and bathers. Only Palestinian fishers have been targeted, with more than 210 killed since October 2023, according to UN data. We live off the sea. If there's no fishing, we don't eat. Muntir Ayash, a 52-year-old fisher from Gaza City, told the Emirati newspaper, The National, Monday. Me, my 5 sons, and their families, 45 people in total, depend entirely on the sea. With it closed, we face starvation. It's unclear why the IDF issued Saturday's warning, which came amid excessive heat warnings as temperatures rose to over 30 degrees Celsius, or 86 degrees American, as I like to call it, instead of Fahrenheit. With Gaza's infrastructure obliterated by 21 months of Israeli onslaught and safe running water in severe shortage, the Mediterranean Sea provided a place to cool off and clean up. I used to go every day. The sea was where I bathed, where I relaxed, where I ran from the horror of the war. Ibrahim Dawla, a 26-year-old Palestinian man forcibly displaced from Gaza City's Eaton, told The National. Now even that's gone. Raja Kudey, a 31-year-old mother of 2 from Deir al-Balah, told the Israeli newspaper Haaretz Sunday, "I'm literally dizzy from hunger, thirst, and the heat. Gaza is going through the worst famine we haven't eaten, and we can't even find a piece of bread." The sea was the only outlet left. If they kill us for going there, maybe that would be easier than this slow death, she continued. Still, I fear for my children. My oldest is 9. How can I convince him that swimming in the sea could get him killed? We're camped by the sea, Kudey added. Where else can we go? Are they going to ban the air from us next? Yeah, probably will. If they can find a way to do it, they probably fucking will. The IDF claims the maritime blockade is a security measure aimed at preventing weapons from being smuggled into Gaza, of course, with no evidence ever presented on that. However, Zakaria Bakr, head of the Palestinian Fishermen's Syndicate in Gaza, and many other residents of the embattled enclave believe there's another reason why Israel is prohibiting them from entering the sea. This is not about security. It's economic, social, and psychological warfare, a weapon of slow, deliberate suffocation, he told The National. Dalla said that people here die 1 million times every hour. We needed the sea just to feel human again, even if only for a few minutes, and they knew that. That's why they shut it down. We called it our last breathing space. We knew it was dangerous, but it was the only place we had left, he added. Now I haven't gone for 2 days. None of my friends have either. We're all afraid we'll be shot for standing there. Ayash said of Israel, they want to take everything. They want to erase us. But the sea is ours, he added. The land is ours. No matter how hard they try, it will stay ours. Palestine defenders around the world also condemned the IDF policy. There could be no possible military or security reason for banning the people of Gaza from entering the sea, except to satisfy the brutal sadism of the IDF, argued Australian journalist and commentator Mike Carlton. Yeah, so they can't even go in the fucking ocean, right? Yeah. 80. I know you say, well, 86 degrees is not that hot, but that was probably the low that day. It's the fucking Middle East. I mean, there's plenty of Israelis who are not indigenous to that area getting skin cancer. I think they don't. Israel has the highest rate of skin cancer in the world, I think. I may have made that up. And also a sidebar, and this has nothing to do with anything. I need to tell you this before I forget it. Yesterday, I was coming home. I was walking home, and I usually walk by the Home Depot, right? And every time I've walked by there, there's always just been workers out there, ready to get hired and go somewhere and help, with some construction and stuff. I walked by there yesterday. It was crickets. Nobody out there. A lot of people not trying to get caught. So, yeah. So anyway, that has nothing to do with Israel. I just remembered that because, you have people in hiding. You people who usually go to the sea to go to the Mediterranean to go cool off and stuff, and then they had to hide. They had to stay away. It's just, God, it's such a fucking retarded world we live in. I swear to God. Meanwhile, a little local story here. This is from Mondeweiss, talking about divestment in Israel, here in Illinois. So statewide campaign aims to end Illinois investment in Israel. Illinois Treasurer Michael Frerichs has been investing in Israel for nearly a decade, since becoming the sole fiduciary of the fifth largest GDP in the country in January 2015. He has invested tens of millions of taxpayer dollars into the Development Corporation of Israel, the DCI. DCI is the underwriter for Israel bonds, uninsured debt securities issued by the Israeli government to raise capital for the country. The idea to pitch these kinds of bonds originated after the 1948 Nakba, when the new state was critically short on economic resources. According to the Illinois State Treasurer's Office, the state of Illinois currently has $100 million invested in Israel bonds, but a growing number of Illinoisans, have had enough and are pushing back on Frerich's agenda. Members of a local union recently filed an ethics complaint against him with the state. The same month, an Illinois senator introduced legislation to stop him from this investing. Coalitions of grassroots activists are hosting divestment seminars to educate the public on where the treasurer is sending their money, while others are organizing public protests, facilitating letter writing campaigns and petitions, and developing potential legal challenges. Illinois activist Noura Ibrahim believes that this opposition illustrates the true essence of people power. Ordinary people united in purpose can challenge deeply rooted systems of violence and injustice. And that's what it's going to have to take. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things with each other, Frerichs first bought $10 million in Israeli bonds in March 2016. Afterwards, he visited Israel as a guest of the Chicago lobbying organization Jewish United Fund, advancing the special relationship between the Jewish state and the state of Illinois. He subsequently invested another $10 million in October that same year, followed by $10 million more again in November 2017, and yet another $10 million in April 2018. Then from October 2023 to April of this year, Frerichs announced 4 separate investments in Israel bonds totaling $55 million. Despite Israel's illegal escalation of ethnic cleansing in Gaza, Frerichs proudly invested $10 million on October 12th, 2023, $20 million on November 2nd, and $15 million on February of this year, and $10 million on March 4th. While Illinoisans watched war crimes unfold from their phones in horror, Frerich's office issued glowing press releases with each investant hailing the virtues of our Israeli friends and showing Illinois' strong commitment to Israel. Frerichs also materially supports Israel in his role as the vice chair of the Illinois State Board of Investments, ISB, which has invested millions of resident retirement funds in companies profiting from the ongoing genocide. Local activists have uncovered that as of March this year, ISB holds 20,621 shares in weapons manufacturer Lockheed Martin. ISB invests in Boeing, General Dynamics, Honeywell, and Northrop Grumman, all companies heavily reliant on Israel's success. Illinois Comptroller Susana Mendoza is also a member of the ISB board. Mendoza has debunked Israeli talking points about Gaza while explicitly saying what's being done to Palestinians is not a genocide. Israel relies on support from Frericks and others like him. A recent Bloomberg report cited a record $5 billion of debt for Israel sold via Israel bonds since October 7th. This makes sense. Expanding an apartheid state is expensive. Ooh, biting satire. Or biting commentary, I should say. In the 20 months since October 7th, much like after the Nakba, Israel has again required enormous capital for the next phase of its settler colonial project. In response to an inquiry for this story, Frerich's office defended the investment. This ought to be good. The Illinois State Treasurer's Office stands by its investment decisions. We have addressed this issue numerous times in public forums. We made these investments because it is our job to get the best investment returns for taxpayers. If genocide will get you your best return on your investment, your ROI, as they say. These are stable investments that generate among the highest returns in the state portfolio. Treasurer Frericks has expressed his extreme displeasure with the current Israeli government, his continued support for a two-state solution, the need for Hamas to release all hostages. Of course. When you hear the release the hostages in there, you know it's some sort of shit lib or some sort of fucking bullshit. The crucial need for humanitarian aid and the imperative for a negotiated ceasefire. Wow. The Treasurer's Office also highlighted the state's historical connection to Israeli bombs, might as well be, to the Israeli bonds program. There is a long-standing Illinois tie to Israel bonds. Israel's first prime minister, David Ben-Gurion, first considered seeking direct investment through Israel bonds in 1950, and the first sale in the United States was completed the following year, the office added in a statement. The relationship between Illinois and Israel bonds goes back to that beginning. Peoria resident Sam Rothberg was a founder of the Israel bonds program. Worldwide sales of Israel bonds have exceeded $53 billion since Sam from Peoria became a part of Israel bonds in 1951. On February this year, over 30 Illinoisans filed an ethics complaint against Frericks and the Office of Executive Inspector General for the State Treasurer under the name 73 for Palestine, a collective of the labor union SEIU Local 73 members and retirees. The complaint explains, among other things, that Frericks' investments in Israel bonds constitutes abuse of authority, corruption, favoritism, improper use of state time, and misuse of public assets. It cites violations of numerous Illinois statutes, including 5 ILCS 435-15, which used to be my porn name, which outlines the prohibitions on political activities by a state official. The OEIG said that they could not comment on investigations. Frericks' opponents believe these investments are purely politically motivated. SEIU 73 member and complaint author Gabby Martinez hopes the complaint will further the goal of censuring Frericks and eventually seeing Illinois divest from these bonds. He's not investing for people of Illinois, but for his own personal political gain in support of Israel, Martinez says. 73 for Palestine believes that they invest their time, resources, and funds into their local Illinois communities, and they expect Illinois politicians to do the same. The complaint states that Frericks has taken away valuable resources from those in need in the state of Illinois and funding genocide instead. Guess what? They're absolutely right. Other organizations are also actively mobilizing to stop Frericks. The coalition Illinois Divest aims to see Frericks divest from DCI. It includes members from organizations like American Muslims for Palestine, Jewish Voice for Peace, Chicago, and Dissenters, Chicago. The coalition has been hosting Divestment 101 community teach-ins, organizing canvassing events, and strategizing with legal experts at the Internationalist Law Center to analyze Frericks' investment patterns. Coalition member Sophia Sinecrot believes these sustained efforts will unite people so that taxpayers can take control of their money and the future of their communities. She values the work Illinoisans did in the 80s during the South African anti-apartheid movement and knows the people of Illinois will keep protesting Frericks until he stops investing in these bonds. This is not just a campaign, it's a reawakening and a call to action to shift the power, said Sinecrot. The Illinois divestment campaign is another growing movement backed by over 50 organizations across the state, led by the Anti-War Committee Chicago, that's the AWC, and BDS Chicago, a project of the U.S. Palestinian Community Network, the USPCN, calling for Illinois to divest from companies and financial instruments complicit in Israel's illegal occupation in Palestine. Formally launched in October 2024 after months of preparation, the campaign demands a clear shift in state investment priorities away from war, apartheid, and genocide and towards meeting the urgent housing, education, healthcare, and infrastructure needs of local communities. Thank you. Yes, can we fix our communities, please? For the love of God. Who are you? Who asked you to show up? Get out of there. BDS Chicago and AWC maintain an online petition currently with over 2,000 letters sent to Frericks' office asking taxpayers to demand this reprioritization. Noor Ibrahim, USPCN member and BDS Chicago coordinator, explained that the campaign has organized a sustained and escalating series of actions, including public comment and disruption at 3 ISBI board meetings, ISB board meetings. The campaign has also launched coordinated email and phone actions along with mass social media efforts directed towards Frericks. In response, Ibrahim says that Frericks has blocked numerous constituents, an alarming act of silencing dissent and dodging accountability from the very people he is elected to serve. Isn't that illegal? And I think that's illegal to block people especially if you're an elected official. Steve Wolfbrand, what's going on? And we got Ellen over on Facebook. Good morning to you, dear. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well, Steve. You're both on Facebook. Yeah, nice. All right, we got a party on Facebook. We don't normally it's it's kind of crickets over there, but all right, it's hopping. What happened? The launch coordinating along with the prayers brought news. An alarming act of silencing dissent and dodging accountability from the very people he's elected to serve. AWC also believes that police directives given to protesters during the recent June 20 ISB board meeting violated Section 2.0 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act, as only a subset of protesters were granted access to the building to address Frericks and the board directly. Brian Maxwell, an organizer in Champaign-Urbana, has been working on a similar campaign to bring awareness to Frericks investments. Maxwell called these investments unpopular and immoral and is urging concerned citizens in other cities across the state to publish opinion pieces educating constituents on Frericks investments. According to Maxwell, over 70% of Urbana voters said they didn't want our government sending military aid to Israel. No doubt those same voters don't want their state tax money used to support that same government. See, now that's real tax dollars going to Israel, right? On the national level, it's just federal funding going to Israel. But on the state and local level, that's your money out of your pocket right into Israel. With Frericks up for re-election potentially in November next year, lack of support downstate could be impactful. Given Frericks grew up in Champaign County, Maxwell traveled with members from the Champaign area organizations CU Muslim Action Committee and UC Jews for Ceasefire to the most recent June 20 ISB meeting in Chicago to protest Frericks' investment. Further downstate, Illinois, Southern Illinois University Edwardsville Emeritus Professor of Middle East and Islamic History Steve Tamari, God, I wonder how he puts that on a business card, who was brutalized by police while protesting the encampment students last spring, is working with Maxwell. Professor Tamari recently published an op-ed denouncing these investments, noting that Illinois is just one of only 2 blue states to have ramped up their investing in Israel since October of 2023. He also plans to collaborate with Springfield area residents to spread the word, as well as utilize the numerous anti-Trump protests in Illinois communities like O'Fallon or Alton to spark one-on-one conversations regarding Frericks' investments in foreign interest. And yeah, the what are you doing? The article goes on. It's pretty long. I think it was pretty long already. But don't worry, after the show, there'll be a Google Doc link that you can click on, and you'll see all the stories with all the links right next to it. So you'll see that in there if you want to read some more about this particular story here in Illinois, which is good. We need to have other states doing that shit too on the grassroots level. They need to be talking to their friends and neighbors that are getting propagandized about Israel. It's like, look, now your tax dollars are going to Israel. Your tax dollars really are going to Israel right now if you continue to support this shit. We swing around to Trump in Russia and Ukraine and that fucking bullshit. I was taught by people, very learned people. So thank you, Ghost. I appreciate you. Yeah, JB is a billionaire Zionist Jew. Fuck yeah, Pittsburgh. What's up, buddy? How you doing? All right, so Trump got his little panties wet about Putin not wanting to do whatever the fuck he wanted, so now he's going to load up with Ukraine, apparently. Trump urges Kiev to make Russia feel the pain. Oh, the pain, the pain. Trumpy has encouraged his Ukrainian counterpart Scarface to launch strikes deep in Russian territory, even asking him if he could attack Moscow if provided with long-range missiles by Washington, according to sources cited by the Financial Times. As of today, the conversation took place during a July 4th phone call between U.S. and Ukrainian officials, the sources said. Vladimir, can you hit Moscow? Can you hit St. Petersburg too? Trump was cited as asking the Ukrainian president. Absolutely, we can if you give us the weapons. Zelensky reportedly responded between a couple of mountains of cocaine. According to the report, Trump signaled his support for such a strategy, which would aim to make them, Russians, feel the pain and force Moscow back to negotiations. A Western official briefed on the phone call said the conversation reflected a desire by Ukraine's allies in the West to supply long-range weapons capable of bringing the war to Muscovites. The sentiment has recently been echoed privately by U.S. officials. Zelensky and the White House have not responded to requests for comment. The discussion between Trump and Zelensky led to a list of potential weapons for Kiev being shared by the U.S. side with the Ukrainian president in Rome last week, three sources told Financial Times. The Washington Post reported on Tuesday today that new weapons deliveries to Ukraine announced recently by Trump may include the long-range Army tactical missile system, the old ATACMS. The report noted that Trump did not mention whether the military aid might also include permission to use new and powerful offensive weapons. An informed source told the outlet that Trump is prepared to authorize the use of 18 long-range ATACMS missiles by Ukraine at their full range of 300 kilometers. While ATACMS cannot reach Moscow or St. Petersburg, they are capable of hitting bases, airfields, and weapons depots deep inside Russian territory. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said that decisions made in Washington, in other NATO countries, and in Brussels itself are interpreted by the Ukrainian side not as a signal for peace, but a signal for continuing the war. Of course. You gotta make that money, man. Make the money on the weapons. What are you talking about? Trumpy announced yesterday a series of steps aimed at pressuring Moscow to end the war with Ukraine. This includes massive supplies of U.S. weapons and assistance, among them Patriot air defense systems. He also issued a 50-day deadline for a deal to be made, after which he would impose 100% tariffs on Russia. We're going to be doing secondary tariffs. If we don't have a deal in 50 days, it's very simple, and they'll be at 100%. The announcement was described as a dramatic shift in policy by Trump, who has styled himself as an anti-war president. That's bullshit. The U.S. and Russia held talks in Saudi Arabia in March this year, agreeing to establish a path to ending the conflict. Since then, however, Ukraine has stepped up attacks in Russia. In early June, Ukrainian drones struck dozens of Russian fighter jets in Siberia. In recent days, Russia has also launched record number of drones and missiles at Ukraine. Peskov said on Monday that Russia was still waiting for proposals from the Ukrainian side of the timing on the timing of the third round of direct Russian-Ukrainian negotiations. 2 rounds of talks between Moscow and Kiev that took place in Turkey in recent months have failed to result in a breakthrough. So, Trumpy trying to talk all tough on Russia. Well, this was Russia's response. That's pretty. That's good photography too. I like that. I like kind of make that white kind of makes it glow a little bit, doesn't it? Yeah. Always like the little onion tops too. I always thought that was cute. Russia needs time to assess U.S. President Donald Trump's threat to impose severe sanctions on Moscow's trading partners if the Ukraine conflict is not resolved within 50 days, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov has said. Yesterday, Monday, the U.S. leader said he was very, very unhappy with Russia, warning of severe secondary tariffs of up to 100% if no progress in diplomacy is reached soon. Trumpy, however, left the door open to talks with Moscow, saying that while he is disappointed in Putin, he is not done with him. Speaking to reporters on Tuesday, Peskov described Trump's remarks as quite serious. We undoubtedly need time to analyze what was said in Washington, and if and when President Putin deems it necessary, he will certainly comment on it, Peskov said. At the same time, the spokesman said the recent shift in Trump's positions will not be interpreted in Kiev as a call for peace. It seems that such decisions that are being made in Washington, in NATO countries, and directly in Brussels are perceived by the Ukrainian side not as a signal towards peace, but as a signal to continue war. Yeah, that's what we said in the other thing, too. According to Peskov, Russia remains open to negotiations with Ukraine, but has yet to receive a response on their timing. Like we said, they're waiting on the Ukrainian side. Trump has made efforts to resolve the Ukraine conflict since taking office in January. He has held several phone calls with Putin, which revolved around a potential peace settlement, restoring broader bilateral relations, and exploring economic cooperation. This year, Russian and Ukrainian delegations have held 2 rounds of direct talks in Istanbul, not Constantinople, while they fell short of any breakthroughs. The sides agreed to large-scale prisoner exchanges. Well, at least you got prisoners back. Right, there you go. Boom, boom, boom. More war stuff. Where are we at here? Always run behind on this. Okay, so that's all right. So they responded, and Hungary in the mix said, you know what? We don't want any part of this bullshit either with Ukraine, as Hungary refuses to finance U.S. weapons for Ukraine. Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó, it's not delivery, it's Szijjártó, said yesterday that Hungary will not participate in financial U.S. weapons for Ukraine, even if Washington formally proposes the initiative to the EU. I would like to emphasize that Hungarian money, Hungarian weapons, and Hungarian soldiers will not be sent to Ukraine. Nothing will be sent there, Szijjártó said during a press conference in Budapest following a meeting with Moroccan Minister of Industry and Trade Riyad Mansour. Despite this, he expressed support for U.S. President Donald Trump's so-called peace efforts, stating no one has done as much for peace in Ukraine as Trump. Really? It's not delivery, it's Szijjártó. He added that these efforts could have been much more successful in recent months if they hadn't been obstructed by European and Ukrainian leaders. Hey, John Kemper! That John Kemper is here. I know they sure do lie a lot. So Szijjártó's remarks came shortly after Trump announced that he would deliver Patriot air defense missiles, saying the EU would cover the full cost. We will send them Patriots, which they desperately need. The EU is going to pay us 100% for that, and that's the way we want it, Trump told reporters at Joint Base Andrews. Hungary is like, the hell we are. Trump framed the weapons transfer as part of a broader strategy to pressure Moscow into negotiations, but did not specify how many systems would be delivered. Putin really surprised a lot of people. He talks nice and then bombs everybody in the evening. Isn't that you? But there's a little bit of a problem there. I don't like it. Oh, kitten. You poor thing. Somebody needs a hug. The announcement coincided with the arrival of Trump's special envoy, retired Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, in Kiev. That's 3 Ks, folks. Keith Kellogg, Kiev. I'll let you do the math. Ukrainian officials confirmed that discussions would center on weapons, sanctions on Russia, and deepening ties with Washington. Ukrainian President Scarface earlier confirmed Kiev's readiness to purchase Patriot missiles and long-range missiles from the U.S. A significant announcement on further arms support is expected from Trumpy later this week, according to Axios. So Hungary said, fuck your weapons. Hey, Mikhail, what's up? Good to see you, buddy. It's not chivalry, it's Sucharto. It's not chivalry. It's not chivalry. It's Sucharto. We always have clever people in the chat. I learned so much, and I laugh even more from your smartness. So, we were talking about floods down in Texas. I hope everybody's, I haven't checked in on that. I should probably do that. With Texas and New Mexico and North Carolina. And guess what? NYC, there's a lot of flooding there too as well. This is from ABC 7 in New York. 2 people dead in flash flooding in New Jersey. Storms batter New York City and tri-state area. Of course, a lot of flooding in the... let's look at some of this here real quick before we get to the details. So this was North Plainsfield, New Jersey. So this is in New Jersey. I guess a tornado hit it. It said the house exploded. This thing's like 9 minutes long. We're not going to watch the whole thing. So New Jersey, look at that flooding there. This is, I guess that's still North Plainfield. Not as bad as it was a few years ago, but still. There's more there. And then you got some, I think you got some here. This is in the city. Like some of the subways got flooded. Like, where is it at? Come on, show us. Look at all that shit. So yeah, so you had like all this rain that just came through like that too. Crazy. So thank you. Ooh, stop. I told you to stop. Heavy rain swept across New York City and the tri-state area yesterday or last night, inundating the region with flash flooding that led to the deaths of 2 people in Jersey. Across the region, vehicles were left stranded in roadways, subway lines were closed, and states of emergency were declared. Flash flood watches and warnings were issued in New York and Jersey as downpours moved through the region on Monday night. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy declared a state of emergency due to flash flooding and heavy rainfall, advising people to stay indoors and avoid unnecessary travel. 2 people died during the flash flooding in the city of Plainfield after a vehicle was swept into Cedar Brook at the height of the storm. Emergency personnel responded quickly, but tragically, both individuals were pronounced dead at the scene. The names of the deceased are being withheld pending notification of their families. In New York City, some subway services were suspended while other lines were running with severe delays due to flooding, according to the MTA. New York's Emergency Services Agency wrote on Twitter that parts of the city and Mid-Hudson were getting hit with flash floods. It's just that these are all flash floods. All of these, all Texas, New Mexico, North Carolina, Jersey. Video posted on social media appears to show water flooding down into a Manhattan subway station, submerging the platform. Let's see if we can, hang on a second, go behind the curtain. I don't want to see if we can do this. Open in new tab. Let's do this. Let's see if we can see.
If you've been watching us all morning long, or if you're just waking up, obviously the concern is am I going to get to work this morning? If you have to get to work this morning, especially if you have no idea.
Let's bring in the MTA Chair and CEO Jan Lieber to join us. Thank you so much for being here. We've been showing the video all morning long of that water gushing into the 28th Street and 137th Street station. Obviously, there was a lot of flooding yesterday. Can you tell us a bit more about what happened?
Is that Bronx?
Sure. Well, number one for your watchers to know
Or is that still Harlem?
everything in the MTA system is operating this morning. You have full subway service, full Long Island Railroad service, full Metro North service.
What's up, Zilly?
And the hundreds of people have been working overnight. So that's the good news. We're not in the, as you said, the hurry up and wait mode. We're in the go
Look at
mode.
that shit.
What happened last night is something that is, a reality in our system, which is that when you go north of an inch and 3/4 in an hour, the city's sewer system, the stormwater system, gets overwhelmed and backs up into the tunnels and to the stations. In a couple of cases, it popped the manhole. Actually, that sewer geyser that you see there is actually a situation where the backup from the city sewer system popped the manhole, and you get that geyser condition. So we have. We've been working with the city of New York to try to get them to increase the capacity of the system at these key locations. That is what was particularly bad on the West Side IRT last night. But Charlene, Pedro, we only lost service on the West Side for like an hour and a half or so. Otherwise, we had delays. We had some big shutdowns intermittently because of track circuit failure, because of signal issues. But the system ran pretty well starting at about 11 o'clock.
Well, that speaks to a lot of the improvements that the MTA has already undergone after Superstorm Sandy. I know billions of dollars were flooded in there to fix a lot of these problems and to mitigate some of these issues. But clearly it's still a problem, and we know that we're going to be seeing this kind of weather more and more. So what else?
Yeah, we don't really need the rest of that. So let me, what is it? Okay. So, submerging the plane. I've seen that before too, where you just go down the subway and it's just like waterfalls down there. It's just redunculous. Another photo appears to show passengers standing on train seats to avoid the water. And there's like a third, you've heard third rail politics. There's a third rail down there that if you touch it, it goes zap, zap, zappity, zap. And you don't want to put water in the mix there. Parts of major thoroughfares in New York, such as the northbound lanes of the Sawmill River Parkway and the Cross Bronx Expressway, were temporarily closed due to flooding and at least one downed tree. Officials in New York's Westchester County, that's AOC country, I believe, rescued people from vehicles submerged in water, according to Carolyn Fortino, a spokesperson for the county executive. Many roads remained closed on Tuesday morning. Record amounts of rain fell on some parts of the tri-state area. And it says here, like, one area got 5 inches of rain, 4, 3, in a very short amount of time, too. A house exploded overnight that amid flooding due to an apparent gas leak. Police said the house on Parkview Avenue caught fire and exploded. That's another thing you have to worry about. No one was injured. Flash flooding in Westchester County led to a state emergency in Elmsford, New York. Mayor Robert Williams said the decision was necessary due to the heavy rain that caused damage to streets, homes, and businesses. A 43-year-old man was walking at West 148th Street and Bradhurst Avenue in Harlem just before 8:30 when a tree branch fell on him. Jesus. He was taken to Harlem Hospital with 2 broken legs. He's expected to survive. Dangerous flooding in Rockland, Westchester counties. Tree strikes car in North Castle. I guess that's more. Is that an underpass? Or is this an actual thing? I don't know what that is. Strong, slow-moving thunderstorms dropped heavy rain. Okay. So this rain this summer ain't no joke, y'all. It is some fucked up shit, to be sure. And, I have to agree with Kevin over at Black Bear News. I don't think a lot of this is engineered, but I think some of it is, because they can do that shit. They can, make all kinds of shit happen. HAARP. Don't forget HARP. Warren, have you seen chemtrail days above O'Hare? No, I haven't. You know what I want to do? I want to take a train ride up there, take the blue line up to and check it out one day. That's the same spot where they had the UFO that punched a hole in the clouds. You remember that, John? Or anybody else from Chicago? So, speaking of New York, I don't really care about politics that much, but I think this is an interesting development that's going on in New York City with the mayor's race now, as Mamdani and backers ridicule Cuomo for independent run after Democratic Party defeat. So looks like Andrew Cuomo is going to be running as an independent in the thing. And we told you this a few weeks ago that after he lost, he was considering that. And some political analysts said that if he gets in the race, Mamdani may not win because the votes might get split. But who knows? Speaking at an event with a major local musicians union Monday after receiving its endorsement in New York City's mayoral race, Democratic candidate Zoran Mamdani offered his perspective on why former Governor Andrew Cuomo had just announced the launch of an independent bid for mayor nearly 3 weeks after a stunning loss to his progressive rival. I think he's struggling to come to terms with what Tuesday meant, said Mamdani, referring to the June 24th Democratic primary. We spent an entire campaign being told that it was inevitable for Andrew Cuomo to become the next mayor, and he believed that himself, and what we saw was New Yorkers' hunger for a new kind of politics. I understand that it is difficult for the former governor to come to terms with that because it is a repudiation of the kind of politics that he's practiced. Progressives on Monday said Cuomo, who was forced to resign from office in 2021 after an investigation found he had sexually harassed at least 11 women, was showing disregard for the clear results of last month's election in which Mamdani shocked the Democrat establishment by winning the most votes of any primary candidate in New York City's history. The Democratic Socialists won the election by nearly 13 percentage points in the final round of ranked choice voting. Numerous critics, including one of Cuomo's accusers, alluded to his history of sexual misconduct in their responses to his announcement. True to form, Andrew Cuomo once again refuses to accept that no means no, said New York State Assembly member Farah Forrest out of the 57th District. On the social media platform Tweeters, Cuomo posted a video announcing his independent run, which Mamdani took as an opportunity to post his own campaign donation link, immediately garnering far more engagement from social media users than Cuomo's announcement did. Look at this guy. He looks like a Sopranos cast reject. Like it's his post, and then someone I really like this guy. I'm very skeptical of this guy. I think he's part of me. He's already reaching out to the Democratic machine. I don't know. But I don't want to piss on anybody's parade if they like him or whatever. But we'll find out. Thank you, Laney. $4 from you. Keep going. I'm going. We got a lot. We got a lot to get to. How many more do we have? Holy shit. Yeah, we got plenty. We're probably about halfway done, I would say. This might go 3 hours today. Cuomo said in the video that he fights to save our city. He fights to save our city. The fight to save our city isn't over, and warned that Mamdani offers slick slogans but no solutions, even as he appeared to copy the Democratic Socialists' recent campaign videos, which have shown Mamdani engaging with New Yorkers eager to shake his hand. Some posited that Cuomo was likely miserable about having to participate in the type of retail politics Mamdani has excelled in, alluding to a quote from one of the candidate's most vocal backers after he lost the primary. All of us have a blind spot, former Governor David Paterson told the New York Times. His blind spot is that he doesn't really connect particularly well with just people. Cuomo talking to people and scaring animals. Mamdani was also poked fun at Cuomo for making man on the street videos with a guy in Carhartt and joked that the former governor is likely to pander to New York City's Arab population. By next week, he'll be sipping a Deni chai and eating kaliat and al-nal, he said. I'm assuming those are Arab dishes. The Times reported that Cuomo launched his campaign after making a deal with Mamdani's other challengers, including Republican Curtis Silwa and independent candidates Mayor Eric Adams and attorney Jim Walden. Cuomo has said he will drop out of the race if he's not the front-running challenger by early September, and will encourage the other candidates to do the same. As Nia Prater wrote at New York Magazine on Monday, the strategy appears to be acknowledging an unavoidable reality of the race, that having multiple candidates vying for the same block of moderate and conservative voters will likely favor Mamdani's candidacy. In a recent Data for Progress poll, Mamdani was shown to have the support of 40% of respondents, with Cuomo in second at 24%, Adams with 15%, while Silwa had 14%, and Walden was in last place with 1%. In addition, the poll found that Democratic voters preferred Mamdani by 52% compared to 32% for Cuomo and 8% for Adams, reported Prater. This is despite all the New York Democrats, the heavyweights like the senators. None of them have endorsed Mamdani. Voters also appeared to have low opinions of both Cuomo and Adams. Yes, because they're both scumbags. 70% of respondents said that they had an unfavorable opinion of Adams compared to 29% favorable. Wow, 29%, that's high. While 59% viewed Cuomo unfavorably compared to 39% who said they had a favorable opinion of the rapist. Bernie Sanders, who endorsed Mamdani in the primary, said the poll was a good sign for the progressive candidate. But don't kid yourself. The billionaires will spend endlessly to defeat him. This is an election of national significance. Either we develop a strong progressive working class movement, or we end up with oligarchy and authoritarianism. Oh, hey, Joe, let me suck your cock. Along with ridiculing Cuomo's attempt to wrest control of the nation's largest city from a candidate who has focused his campaign on making life more affordable for working families. We'll see about that. Mamdani's campaign also condemned Cuomo for taking millions of dollars in donations from Republican billionaires and supporters of Trump. While Andrew Cuomo and Eric Adams are tripping over themselves to cut backroom deals with billionaires and Republicans, Zohran Mamdani is focusing on making the city more affordable for New Yorkers. Campaign spokesperson Jeffrey Lerner told The Times that's the choice this November. Yeah, so I think the only way now, if Mamdani loses, is because everybody else falls in line, right, and it gets behind Cuomo. That's the only shot they really have, and I don't think they're going to do it. CJ, what's going on? I sound like Bernie. What? I have two houses. I've been around a lot of New York accents, and his is very, very Brooklyn-y, so they're like, hey, what are you doing in my house? Fuck off. It's like, hey, I got lost. We have a nice little military block for you. I know you like those kinds of stories, right? Where they spend all this money and they don't do shit for you or me. This is from antiwar.com. Make sure you're hooking up those guys with sharing out their information too. They do all kinds of good news aggregation over there. Journalism, real journalists doing real stories. Check them out, antiwar.com. Senate NDAA would add $32 billion to Trump's $1 trillion 2026 military budget. The Senate Armed Service Committee has provided its version of the 2026 NDAA, which would add approximately $32 billion to Trump's planned military budget of $1.01 trillion. The Service Committee's NDAA would provide $924.7 billion in military spending. Fucking outrageous. Including $878.7 billion for the Pentagon, $35.2 billion for the Energy Department's nuclear programs, and $10.8 billion for other military-related spending. Black Ops. Probably a hell of a lot more than that. Black Ops, actually, they don't even tell you how much they get. The additional $32 billion will go towards shipbuilding, munitions, and investments in the F-35 fighter plane, which China will now easily be able to shoot down. While the White House requested $896.2 billion NDAA and plans to supplement it with $113 billion from the recently passed budget reconciliation bill, which Trump dubbed the Big Beautiful Bill, bringing the total military budget for 2026 to $1.01 trillion. Adding the $32 billion from the Senate's NDAA would bring the total to approximately $1.033 trillion. $20 billion to solve homelessness in America. So far, the House Armed Service Committee's version of the NDAA reflects Trump's request. The committee will be marking up the bill this week, and once approved, the House and Senate will negotiate the final version of the military spending bill. Last year, the SASC also approved an NDAA that was significantly higher than what President Biden requested and went against budget caps, but the increase was ultimately stripped out of the final version of the bill. The U.S. has never officially had a $1 trillion military budget, but the actual cost of U.S. military spending has exceeded $1 trillion for years. And like I said, that doesn't even count the Black Ops budget. According to the veteran defense analyst Winslow Wheeler, based on a $895 billion National Defense Authorization Act, U.S. national security spending for 2025 was expected to reach about $1.77 trillion. Unfucking believable. Wheeler's estimate accounts for military-related spending from other government agencies not funded by the NDAA, such as the Department of Veterans Affairs and Homeland Security. It also includes the national security share of the interest accrued on the U.S. debt, as well as other factors. Money, 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 money. Here's some scary fun stuff. Combining AI or AGI with the military. Pentagon awards multiple companies $200 million contracts for AI tools, and you know who got one. The Defense Department's Chief Digital and Artificial Intelligence Office yesterday awarded 4 tech companies individual contracts valued at up to $200 million to provide advanced AI capabilities to address national security challenges. Yeah, citizen surveillance, you mean. The awards were issued at Anthropic, Google, OpenAI, and xAI. That's Elon Musk's bullshit. The adoption of AI is transforming the department's ability to support our warfighters and maintain strategic advantage over our adversaries, Chief Digital and AI Officer Dr. Doug Maddie said in a statement. Leveraging commercially available solutions into an integrated capabilities approach will accelerate the use of advanced AI as part of our joint mission essential tasks in our warfighting domain, as well as intelligence, business, and enterprise information systems. Under the contract, the Defense Department can deploy the latest AI offerings, agentic AI workflows, whatever that means, large language models, and technologies developed by these firms. These advanced AI solutions will enable the Department of Defense to effectively address defense challenges and scale the adoption of agentic AI across enterprise systems to drive innovation and efficiency with agile, proven technology. Jim Kelly, Vice President of Federal Sales for Google Public Sector, said in a blog post immediately after drinking adrenochrome straight from a child's neck following the Pentagon's award notices. Broadly, the Pentagon's AI awards exemplify how important the technology is to the Pentagon. In June, the Defense Department awarded a similar contract to OpenAI for government to develop AI prototypes months after Microsoft's OpenAI-enabled Azure offerings were approved for use at the highest security classification level. That's not scary. Meanwhile, other AI firms like Anthropic have forged partnerships with cloud service providers and built out public sector teams to serve national security missions. A key driver behind the momentum could be the larger pool of money the Pentagon is aiming to get for AI. The Defense Department's latest budget requests $6 billion for AI and autonomous systems, for everything from autonomous wingman fighter drones to AI research and development, robotics development, and other emerging technologies. Oh, thanks, Steve. Steve giving us those hippos. Thanks for the hippos. $4.99. Appreciate you. Are they hungry hippos? XAI, Elon Musk's company focused on AI and accelerating human discovery, announced the Defense Department contract Monday and promptly made headlines with another announcement. It's Grok for Government offering. In a post on the Tweeters, company billed Grok for Government as a suite of products that makes our frontier models available to United States government customers. Grok's a little bit of a Nazi, though. Grok likes some Nazi shit, though. I don't think well, we already have Nazis in the government, so, poopy donkers? All right. I'll buy that for $1. In addition, XAI said its products will be available for government purchase through the General Services Administration schedule, which allows every federal agency to make purchases against it. In short, XAI now has tools available for purchase by every federal government department, agency, or office. Yay! There you go. And idiocracy is about to be about 400 years earlier. GSA is proud to support the DoD to harness the full potential of innovation in service to the federal government, said GSA Federal Acquisition Service Commissioner Josh Grunbaum. Together, we are advancing our shared mission to deliver cutting-edge technology solutions that empowers agencies, strengthen national security. National security. Take a drink. I think from now on, every time you hear national security, you should take a drink of whatever you're drinking. I'm going to drink. It's just water. A little early for the sauce. Where is it? National security. And meet the evolving needs of the American people. By combining expertise and vision, we are creating a new federal enterprise prepared to meet the challenges of today and the opportunities of tomorrow. Yeah. In April, Google Public Sector negotiated a temporary 71% discount on pricing for its workspace software suite to all government customers through GSA's DOGE-approved OneGov initiative, promoting several other companies to follow suit. In June, the company's cloud platform, Google Distributed Cloud, achieved a major milestone in meeting the Defense Department's Impact Level 6 security accreditation. Yay, congratulations. You get a hat, meaning even the most sensitive national security customers can run workloads on Google Cloud. In recent months, tech firms OpenAI and Anthropic, which have both developed the incredibly popular large language models, ChatGPT and Claude, respectively, have launched business divisions targeting the increasingly lucrative government market. While both companies are non-traditional government contractors, they've each managed to win direct awards from the Pentagon while strategically partnering with other traditional providers to make their technology available to federal agencies. Fucking Judge Dredd's coming. Judge Dredd's corporations run everything. Hey, Kieran, thank you so much for, it's good to see you. Thank you for joining Patreon. The Superman underwear is in the mail as promised. Use Linux subversion. Yeah, I wish I would have learned Linux a long time ago, to be honest with you. Because now it's getting to the point where Windows 10, if you have Windows 10, they're going to stop security updates and stuff in October and make you go to Windows 11. I'm like, no, thank you. No, thank you. Meanwhile, troops are getting money. They're getting a pay raise, maybe, kind of. Lawmakers back White House fiscal year 26 plans for more troops. 3.8% pay hike. After months of positive news about military recruiting efforts, more suckers. Lawmakers are poised to back White House plans to boost the Defense Department's end strength by about 26,000 troops next year. The extra service members are included in both the Senate and House Armed Service Committee drafts of the annual defense authorization bill, which contains a series of policy and budgetary priorities for the military. Senators on the panel approved their version last week, while the House committee is scheduled to mark up its draft today. Both plans call for a significant boost in troop numbers in fiscal 2026, with most additions in the Army and Navy ranks. Gee, I wonder why they're going to have more troops for the Army and Navy, that the ground troops and a Pacific battle, maybe. Earlier this year, White House officials in their budget plans for next year outlined a goal of 454,000 active duty soldiers in fiscal 2026, an increase of 11,700 troops over this year. Similarly, the Navy would grow to 334,600 sailors, up 12,300 active duty personnel from this year. The plan also calls for a boost of 1,500 airmen from the current level of 320,000 Air Force service members, and an increase of 600 Space Force active duty personnel from the current end strength of 9,800 individuals. I still can't take the Space Force seriously. That just sounds so stupid. The Marine Corps, with 172,300 personnel, would be the only active duty service not to see an increase. Oh, poor Marines, you get fucked. The increases would grow the armed forces to just over 1.3 million active duty troops, the largest goal since fiscal 2023. Gee, wonder why they're getting all these troops. Huh? Why are they getting all these troops? Yeah, I know, right? They want me to get a whole new computer because my operating system can't handle Windows 10, and I'm sure they know perfectly well that there are lots of people maintaining old machines. Yeah, they said mine wouldn't take. I can't put Windows 11 on mine, and I'm not going to upgrade just to get fucking Windows 11. FTS. Fuck that shit. Speaking of Space Force and bullshit, Space Force is training for orbital warfare in its largest exercise yet. Space Force. Instead of Space Ghost. Alien fears, I know, right? Hundreds of Guardians are taking part in the Space Force's Resolute Space 25, meant to test readiness for space-based combat. All right, well, let's see. Let me make this a little bigger. There we go. Look at them. They're calling E.T. If you know, you know. The U.S. Space Force is currently carrying out its largest exercise since being established, with a service-specific operation meant to see how it can handle complex conflicts in space. Lasers, wow. The ongoing Resolute Space 2025 involves 700 Guardians, I guess that's what they're called, utilizing an array of space and ground-based tools and communication systems. The Guardians are primarily operating out of Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam, and which is, I think, is a haunted base, and Schriever. I think that is that Shriver, Peterson, and Buckley space bases. The Guardians are testing out their readiness in the field's space electromagnetic warfare, space domain awareness, orbital warfare, and navigational warfare, according to Space Force. Resolute Space sends a clear message. Guardians are prepared to fight and win in space, shoulder to shoulder with our joint and allied partners, Chief of Space Operations General Chance Saltzman said in a statement. I think he was probably at a bar drinking himself to death at a Chili's. By training at this unprecedented scale, we're sharpening warfighter instincts, strengthening combat credibility, and proving our commitment to deliver peace through strength in the face of any challenge. Over the last few years, Space Force has built up its array of satellites in orbit. Watch out, Chuck. As well as ground-based relay and tracking systems. The main stated goals have been to expand U.S. military communications and early warning capabilities, as well as expand space domain awareness, or the ability to keep tabs on where adversary objects are in orbit. This exercise draws on that and a stated Space Force goal to deploy jamming tools. All right, we're jamming. I want to jam it with you to disrupt enemy transmissions. According to Space Force Colonel Jay Steingold, the exercise director, Resolute Space 2025 involves, quote, live, synthetic, and virtual space warfighting, quote. In practice, several of the military space-based satellites will be involved both for real-time operations and in simulated conditions. However, orbital warfare remains less defined by the service. This does not appear to involve deploying laser-armed troops like in Moonraker. Oh my God, you make a Moonraker reference. Excellent. That girl had braces at the end of Moonraker. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. That's why they were smiling at each other. Her and Jaws were smiling at each other. Both had fucking metal mouths. Fucking Mandela effect bullshit. I want to jam it in you. What's up, kitty? Space Force operates an array of satellites and a space plane famous for its long missions in orbit, but the service has not disclosed any kind of space-based battleship or fighter. Space Force did not give details to its specific space-based or space-capable weapons. However, in recent months, Saltzman and other leaders have talked about boosting Space Force's offensive capabilities, both in electromagnetic warfare and in more direct warfare, specifying the need to get kinetic or non-kinetic weapons for the latter category. The Resolute Space exercise is happening concurrently with several other exercises by the Department of the Air Force. The combined department-level exercise started on July 8th. In total, 12,000 airmen and guardians are taking part, as well as more than 350 aircraft. Jeez Louise. You know, we already got like a super space program, right? You know, we're talking to aliens and shit on the regular, probably since the 40s. You're like, man, fuck off. That's bullshit. It sounds plausible now. Everybody's doing war shit. Australia hosts largest ever military war games. See, this is, you sense a pattern, folks. Increased troops, you know, big, you know, space battles. Now you got countries around the world gunning up. Exercise Talisman Sabre, the largest ever war drills in Australia, is underway and expected to attract the attention of Chinese spy ships. Talisman Sabre began in 2005 as a biennial joint exercise between the U.S. and Australia. This year, more than 35,000 military personnel from 19 nations, including Canada, Fiji, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Japan, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, Papua New Guinea, the Philippines, South Korea, Singapore, Thailand, Tonga, and the United Kingdom will take part over 3 weeks. Australia's Department of Defense said on Sunday. Malaysia and Vietnam are also attending as observers. And then what's going on over here? The exercise will also take place in Papua New Guinea, Australia's nearest neighbor. It is the first time Talisman Sabre activities have been held outside of Australia. Uh-oh. Not good. Here comes the takeover. Chinese surveillance ships have monitored naval exercises off the Australian coast during the last 4 Talisman Sabre exercises and were expected to surveil the current exercise, Defense Industry Minister Pat Conroy said. We will adjust accordingly. We will obviously observe their activities and monitor their presence around Australia, but we will also adjust how we conduct those exercises, Conroy said. The exercise is showcasing Australia's defense alliance with the U.S. started a day after Prime Minister Anthony Albanese began a 6-day visit to China, where he is expected to meet President Xi Jinping in Beijing today. Albanese said Chinese surveillance of Talisman Sabre would not be raised with Xi. That would be nothing unusual. That has happened in the past, and I will continue to assert Australia's national interest as I do by throwing another shrimp on the Barbie, Albanese told reporters in Shanghai on Monday. So, and then there's pictures of this shit. Hey, look, war, yay. Ooh, more war. Boom, 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 boom. Zap, zap, zap. Whatever. That's the end of that. What was that? Multiple. Okay. Space Force, Australia host. Okay. All right, 2 more in our news spike. This is a big one. It's a big one. It's a big one. It's big taste and a big bite. Honeycomb's got. Sorry. Meanwhile, in Uganda, military chief calls for withdrawal from AU forces from Somalia. So this is our Africa break here for a second. General Mahuzi Kainerugaba. I actually practiced that one. Mahuzi Kainerugaba, the Uganda People's Defense Forces, UPDF chief, now wants the African Union support and stabilization mission in Somalia. That's awesome. I didn't want me, but it says awesome right there. Forces to leave the country, accusing the U.S. of initiating talks with the Al-Shabaab. For the last 18 years, the African Union forces have played a critical role in stabilizing Somalia, helping to rebuild Somali National Army, the SNA, which is expected to assume awesome roles, oh, come on, please, in the future for taking on security responsibilities. Awesome! But Mahuzi, the son of Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni, who is known for his controversial opinions on social media, took to the same platform to accuse the U.S. of being in secret talks with the militants who are fighting to topple the fragile UN-backed federal government of Somalia. The U.S., he argued, was undermining the efforts of the African Union support and stability. They were undermining the efforts of AWESOME, adding that it is time for AU forces. It is time the AU forces leave. However, he did not give any empirical evidence to support his allegations against the Americans. The U.S. and the collective West are recognizing al-Qaeda in Syria. Even our brothers in Israel seem to be okay with the situation, Kainerugaba said. We even hear that the U.S. has begun secret negotiations with al-Shabaab in Somalia. We will implore our great commander-in-chief to consider total withdrawal from Somalia after 18 years. Since 2007, the UPDF troops have been fighting alongside the Somali National Army, making huge strides on several front lines. In the process, many soldiers have died, including the recent air crash at Mogadishu's Aden Adi Airport, where 8 soldiers died. Despite nearly 2 decades of military operations, al-Shabaab remains a formidable force, continuing to launch deadly attacks across Somalia and the wider region. The militants managed to retake the strategic towns of Mokokori and Adan Yabal, dealing a blow to the mission forces and the Somali troops. Besides the military actions, President Hassan Sheikh maintains a blockade against al-Shabaab, targeting revenue sources and the use of religion to stop the indoctrination. God, I can't say it. I can't talk today. Indoctrination of young people. The mission troops are facing financial constraints after the U.S. government hinted at a possible withdrawal from the funding scheme. And finally, in our news block, if I can get this to work, can we do this? Here we go. Talking about that Air India crash. They're trying to blame the pilots for it, but you know, it was a Boeing. So, Boeing crash. That's how it works. As Air India crashed, the pilot groups pushed back against human error narrative. So they're saying it was human error. Associations of Indian pilots are rejecting claims that last month's Air India plane crash that killed 260 people was due to human error after a preliminary investigation sparked speculation implicating the flight crews. The London-bound Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner crashed less than a minute after takeoff from Ahmedabad from the airport in the western Indian state of Gujarat on June 12th. A report released over the weekend by India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau said that seconds after takeoff, both of the plane's fuel control switches moved to the position stopping fuel from the engines. It did not specify who turned off the switches, only citing the cockpit voice recording in which, quote, one of the pilots is heard asking the other why he cut off, quote, while, quote, the other pilots responded that he did not do so. The Indian Commercial Pilots Association and the Airline Pilots Association of India have issued statements after the release of the initial findings and the first media and online reactions to it, rejecting speculative narratives and presumptions over the guilt of the pilots. Captain Kishore Chinta, an ALPA member and accident investigator, told Arab News that both associations have raised red flags on the selective release of information by the AAIB, which has left the scope of ambiguity for people to jump to conclusions and for the media to spin narratives. There's a mat for that. There's a jump to conclusions mat. This is where you jump to conclusions. We are left defending those pilots who are not there to defend themselves, he said. The Western media has been painting them as if they actually committed suicide murder. The London-bound flight was carrying 242 people, 230 passengers, 2 pilots, and 10 crew members. Only one person sitting in an emergency exit seat survived the crash. Another 18 people were killed on the ground as the aircraft fell on a BJ Medical College and hostel for students and resident doctors of the Ahmedabad Civil Hospital. I can say it when I do it slow. Ahmedabad, come visit me. Investigators at the crash site recovered both components of the black box, the cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder, days after the crash. The Ministry of Civil Aviation said at the time that the final report was expected within 3 months. The early release of preliminary findings has shaken the Indian aviation community, for which it was unacceptable that experienced pilots who have flown thousands of hours would have turned off the fuel supply. Definitely a malfunction caused the disaster, poor maintenance, or a hardware-software glitch, said Sandeep Jain, an Indian aviator based in the U.S. Dead pilots are always the easiest targets. They don't bite back, no litigation, no shareholder value erosion. The Federation of Indian Pilots is planning to raise the consequences of the preliminary report with the government. We will be taking it up with the government, no doubt. We will not let it go quietly. The report should not be open-ended, Captain C.S. Randhawa, the Federation's president, told Arab News. It's inconclusive, so many things are not answered properly. The report does not say that the pilots have moved the fuel control switches. That is why it is inconclusive, and it is leading to speculations, he said. So, yeah. Boeing has enough shit going wrong. They got enough bad publicity. They're like, nah, we're going to blame it on the people this time. It was the pilot's fault. Pilot error. Experienced pilots who, you're like, yeah, let's turn this off for no fucking reason. Anybody else sneak in here? We got more people. All right. I love Scotland, but there's one university there that's really, really not doing good things, spying on their own students for the military-industrial complex. TSK.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these things are true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use those platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
All right, this is a big Brit block. More or less. Heriot-Watt University agreed to monitor students for an arms firm. How about that? A Scottish university agreed to request to monitor its students on behalf of an arms company. Emails obtained under Freedom of Information laws and reported by the Herald and Liberty Investigates reveal how Heriot-Watt University staff agreed to implement a range of security measures requested by defense firm Raytheon UK ahead of a campus careers fair. Yes, right. These included monitoring student chat groups and discussion forums for talk of any planned protests, monitoring CCTV for signs of groups gathering, and having an enhanced physical presence on the day to help safeguard the Raytheon employees attending. You know, they're always so in fear of normal-ass people, as well they should be. The requests were being made of the university's safeguarding team, first aid, and mental health first aid trained campus officers. In response, an HWU staff member said they would implement the additional security measures. Katie Wood, an HWU student and president of the Society for Progressive Students, said that she was disappointed and ashamed by the university's response to Raytheon UK's requests. My immediate reaction is that the safeguarding team are in place at the university to protect the students and not the profits of the arms companies. This kind of move damages, and she probably meant not to protect them. Yeah, probably the other way. This kind of move damages the trust that students have in safeguarding about their ability to make decisions that will protect students and put them first. As a student, I would have respected them more if they had just said, that's not within our capabilities. That's not something we're going to actively do. But if something happens on campus, we'll be there to deal with any situation that arises. Despite not challenging Raytheon's requests at the time, a university spokesperson told the Herald that the safeguarding team does not have access to or monitor any student chat groups or online discussion forums. Yeah, right. They said our safeguarding team routinely checks physical notice boards on campus. This is part of their regular responsibilities to ensure that all displayed materials align with our university's values. In the event of a protest or demonstration, the role of our safeguarding team is to observe and support the safety and well-being of all participants. On February 20th, the university hosted two defense companies at its Student Careers Fair, Raytheon UK and Leonardo, both of which make parts for the type of F-35 fighter jets used by the Israeli military, according to research by the Campaign Against the Arms Trade. Neither company replied to questions about their connection to jets used for bombing in Gaza, but both have been the subject of demonstrations against their involvement in weapons manufacturing and, more recently, connections to technology used in the war in Gaza. On January 31st, Raytheon UK's security manager asked the HWU safeguarding team to monitor CCTV for signs of students gathering to protest and to conduct enhanced patrols to show a presence and act as a deterrent. The Raytheon UK employee wrote that the company's presence on campuses has previously drawn unwanted attention from protest groups, including university students, and requested help ahead of the February careers event. Raytheon UK's attendance was not advertised prior to the event, according to the email. The Raytheon UK employee asked HWU to implement additional measures, including 3 specific requests of the safeguarding team. Monitor the university chat groups and notice boards in the lead up to the event in case any groups are planning to disrupt the event, as we have had this occasionally at university events in the past. Monitor the campus CCTV prior to and during the event in case any groups are seen gathering that may be intent on a protest or simply disrupting the event. Prior to and during the event, carry out enhanced patrols around the venue entrance and perhaps enter the venue occasionally to show a presence and act as a deterrent. Scare people. The Raytheon UK employee added that they had no information to suggest any protest or disruption was planned, nor did they provide examples of their employees being subjected to unlawful protest on other campuses. On February 5th, in response to Raytheon UK's request, an HWU employee said, "Not a problem. We will support this event in the same way as last year and to implement the measures you have suggested. If there is anything else we can assist with this, then please do not hesitate to let me know." There was no demonstration during the career event in question. When asked if university staff followed through on Raytheon UK's requests, a college spokesperson told the Herald that the university is proud of its safeguarding service and it is good practice to assess safety measures for campus events, with our safeguarding and estates team playing a key role in this process. They added, "We reject any allegation that the university was involved in improper monitoring of any members of our community." The safeguarding team provides 24/7 support for students, staff, and visitors on campus, including incident response, first aid, mental health support, and overall campus safety. Their role is to protect and support our community as the well-being of our students and staff is of paramount importance to us. Harriet Watt University fully supports the right to freedom of expression and peaceful protest, provided these activities are conducted lawfully and within the framework of university policies. Oh, and you can always make new policies, can't you? You can always do that. New policies. Oh, look, sorry. Like all universities, we must balance this right with our responsibility to ensure the safety, well-being, and uninterrupted academic experience of the wider community. In the event of a protest or demonstration, the role of our safeguarding team is to observe and support the safety and well-being of all participants. The university did not provide further comment when asked why it did not explicitly refuse to monitor students' chats, given it has since said that staff do not have access to such groups. In the email exchange between the Raytheon UK employee and HWU, I'm just going to say the university. That's hard to say W and U at the same time. Safety concerns are only referenced in relation to Raytheon employees. All references to the university students or potential protesters are in the context of possible disruption or unwanted attention. University spokesperson did not reply when asked whether supporting the safety and well-being of demonstrators included discouraging demonstrations from taking place. A Raytheon UK spokesperson said that it works with hosts to conduct thorough security assessments on behalf of all participants ahead of any career event. They added, Raytheon UK, like other large employers, regularly meets with university students interested in exploring aerospace careers. Aerospace. Yeah. Trying to get them into their fucking military. Raytheon UK is proud to be a long-standing employer of the United Kingdom with paths in the United Kingdom. Employer of the United Kingdom. That's probably appropriate too. With pathways to robust careers in advanced technology. Okay, there's not much left here. With advanced Raytheon UK's website describes the company as focused on defense, aerospace, cyber, and intelligence with sites across the UK. In the email to the university, the Raytheon UK employee indicated that the company's status as, quote, one of the biggest defense industry companies in the world, quote, is the reason it sometimes draws protests from student groups. Raytheon UK did not reply when asked if it only discussed careers in its aerospace with attendees and not any careers connected to weapon systems or defense more broadly. Joe Grady, General Secretary of the University and College Union, which represents a wide range of university staff in the UK, expressed concern over the university's relationship with Raytheon UK. It's bad enough that Harriet Watt, while touting its positive role on the global stage, is inviting an arms company like Raytheon onto campus. That's the university's bosses are also spying on their own students, and the company's behalf is a scandal and plumbs new depths. Harriet Watt must stop colluding with arms companies and protect democratic space for students to protest against genocide and crimes against humanity. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Yeah, you should hang your head in shame. Fucking spying on your own students just to appease the military-industrial complex so they can come on your campus and lie to children. Apparently there was a Gaza documentary that got pulled on the BBC. The BBC review says pulled Gaza documentary did not break impartiality rules. Okay. A BBC investigation into the airing of a documentary on children in Gaza narrated by the son of a Palestinian official has found that the corporation did not breach its impartiality rules. Just 4 days after the documentary Gaza, How to Survive a War Zone, aired on February 17th, the BBC pulled it from its streaming platform, iPlayer, following an intense campaign by pro-Israel groups and rival British media outlets. Pro-Israel activist David Collier agreed that the boy who narrated the film, Abdullah al-Yazuri, was the son of a deputy minister in Gaza's government and was related to co-founder of Hamas, Ibrahim al-Yazuri, who died in 2021, who was murdered in 2021. Collier, whose revelation sparked a national scandal, described Abdullah as the child of Hamas royalty, a claim later repeated by mainstream British newspapers. Monday's long-awaited review, which was conducted by Peter Johnson, giggity, the corporation's head of editorial complaints and reviews, who is independent of its management, found that 3 members of Hoyo Films, the independent production company that produced the film, knew of the father's position as Deputy Minister of Agriculture, but no one within the BBC knew this before the broadcasting of the documentary. The review said the BBC had breached its editorial guidelines in terms of accuracy by failing to disclose the boys' ties to Hamas. However, the review found that there were no other breaches of editorial guidelines, including impartiality. It also found no evidence to support the suggestion that the narrator's father or family influenced the content of the program in any way. The media watchdog Ofcom said later on Monday that it would conduct its own investigation into the airing of the documentary. The BBC's Director General Tim Davie had told MPs the broadcaster had received hundreds of complaints alleging the documentary was biased against Israel because it told the truth, as well as hundreds more criticizing the program's removal from its streaming service. Middle East Eye revealed earlier this year that the boy's father was, in fact, a technocrat with a scientific rather than political background and had previously worked for the UAE's education ministry and studied at British universities. The narrator's father also disputed the allegations against him, saying his full name is Ayman Hassan Abdullah al-Yazuri, whereas the Hamas founder's full name was Ibrahim Faris Ahmad al-Yazuri. Big difference. He's like a little taller than me, and I got kind of this like unibrow thing. He added that his father was named Hassan and died in 1975. Our family is not, as some claim, he told Middle East Eye, insisting he was not Hamas royalty. There are many individuals within our family who are affiliated with Fatah and the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, including some in leadership positions within these movements. Ministers, bureaucrats, and civil servants in Gaza are appointed by Hamas, while in the West Bank they are appointed by the PLO. So, yeah. Can't be showing truthies. Why are you telling the truth? They don't want you to tell the truth about what's going on with Israel. Got a little back-to-back declassified UK for you if you're interested in that thing. Probe launched into Westminster's group's Israel funding. This is another good site, too, Declassified UK. An official inquiry has been launched after Declassified revealed that an Israeli state-owned weapons firm had funded a group of British MPs. RUK Advanced Systems Limited sells weapons, including urban combat missiles and hard-kill torpedoes. But records show it's part of the defense giant Rafael, which is owned by the Israeli government. Our investigation found the company had paid at least almost £1,500 to partner with the all-party paramilitary group, the APPG, on defense technology, which provides opportunities to networks with MPs. The money was paid directly to the group's secretariat, but parliamentary rules say that APPGs should not accept the services of a secretariat funded directly or indirectly by a foreign government. Tommy Shepard, a former SNP politician who sat on the Standards Committee, said it appeared to be a crystal clear breach of the rules. Now the Parliamentary Standards Commissioner has launched an official investigation into due diligence of funding. It's understood that one of the APPG's co-chairs, Conservative MP Dr. Neil Shastri-Hurst, referred the case himself after being contacted by Declassified. Shastri-Hurst, who represents Solihull West and Shirley, should be familiar with the rules as he currently sits on the Parliament Standards Committee and is a practicing barrister. I always want to say barista. No, they're not making coffee. When questioned about it last month, neither the APPG nor any of the MPs involved responded, but RUK's name was immediately removed from the group's website. The company itself also did not respond to a request for comment, but appeared to delete its own website less than 12 hours after being questioned over the donation. Now, 2 weeks on, the website is still offline. Meanwhile, documents filed with Companies House show the corporate structure through which RUK is controlled was also immediately changed, although it remains under the control of the Israeli government. The same change was made to the corporate structure of Newcastle-based Pearson Engineering, another arms company which was acquired by Israel's state-owned arms against Rafael in 2022. Set up in 2022, RUK describes itself publicly as a UK-based SME and claims its products are made in UK, but the company's location remains a mystery. Official documents show it's registered at an address in North London, but this appears to be a service address operated by an accountancy firm and only used for formal correspondence, almost like a P.O. box. Declassified was unable to find any trace of a physical presence in the UK, aside from a small handful of staff who appeared to live in various parts of the UK. RUK did not respond to questions about the location of its factory or office. However, one of its directors had previously described the company's stunning new suite of offices and labs, including a demo room. Ooh, and I wonder if they have like foosball too. That foosball's fun. I like that. What do we got here? We have plenty left. Like I said, we got a James Lee video too. So. What's his about the Cash Patel, the honeypot thing? Interesting stuff. Meanwhile, friends of Israel, trip not declared by Labor politicians. Oh, UK politicians. 3 MPs have failed to declare an all expenses paid trip funded by Labor Friends of Israel. LFI, declassified can reveal. The group is funded by anonymous donors and was described as a lobbying organization by one of its former directors. Dry lips. Records showed that it took 5 Labor MPs on a 5-day trip in May to, quote, show solidarity, costing up to £2,600 per person. They were joined by Labor peer Luciana Berger. During the visit, the MPs posed for photos with the Israeli president, Isaac Herzog, whose genocidal comments have been cited in an ICJ report. Speaking after the October 7th attack, Herzog said that an entire nation was responsible. The delegation of Labor MPs also met Israeli Deputy Foreign Minister Sharon Haskell, leader of the opposition Yair Lapid, and IDF Reserve Major General Yair Golan. Golan has previously said that starvation in Gaza is completely legitimate, but has since condemned the IDF for killing babies as a hobby, because it is their hobby. 2 of the MPs on the trip, John Pierce and Mark Sewards, have already declared the trip in the Register of Interest, but the strict deadline for declaration appears to have been missed by the other MPs, Kat Eccles, Kevin McKenna, and Peter Prinsley. Eccles even referenced her visit while speaking in Parliament, saying, I refer members to my entry in the Registry of Members' Financial Interests. However, the register did not include any mention of the visits. In a statement following the delegation, LFI Chair John Pierce said it's more important than ever for British members of Parliament to visit Israel and Palestine to show solidarity and hear directly from people on the ground. He added, we left the region more convinced than ever of the needs to secure the release of the remaining 58 hostages, massively increase humanitarian aid into Gaza, and see Hamas relinquish control of Gaza. I thought they weren't in control. I thought Israel controlled Gaza. When questioned by Declassified, a Labor Party spokesperson said due to an administrative error, attendance at the delegation was not declared on time, but all relevant declarations have now been made. The spokesperson did not explain how the same administrative error was made by all 3 MPs and declined to comment on whether this claim was misleading. Since October 2023, MPs have accepted more than £36,000 worth of trips. That's money, not like tonnage. From LFI, according to analysis by Declassified. This does not include the 3 MPs who have yet to declare the visit in May. As chair of the organization, John Pierce has been on 3 separate LFI-funded trips in the last 6 months, valued at 7,800 British pounds in total. They include trips to Washington, D.C. and United Arab Emirates, as well as Israel and Palestine. He also banged some broad in Cleveland. Damien Egan, Sharon Hodgson, and Christian Wakeford have also each been on 2 LFI trips. Going to see their genocidal buddies. Hey, we come for the killing. We stayed for the genocide. What happened? So dry. So this happened in the Knesset. Knesset bid to oust Arab-Israeli lawmaker Ayman Odeh falls short of supermajority. Why are they trying to kick him out? This is the guy right here. A motion to oust Arab-Israeli lawmaker Ayman Odeh from the Knesset failed to garner the necessary supermajority of 90 votes on Monday. A total of 73 MKs voted in favor of, I guess that's member of Knesset, voted in favor of ousting Odeh, including 6 members of Yair Lapid's Yesh Atid, but not the party leader himself. 15 lawmakers voted no, while 32 weren't present for the vote. The vote was triggered by a Likud lawmaker after Odeh published a social media post in January saying that he rejoices over the release of Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners. Wow. The result of the vote aligned with opposition expectations after officials on Sunday estimated that the expulsion bid would not receive the support of 90 Knesset members as required by law. Prior to the vote, one ultra-Orthodox official told Haaretz that members of his United Torah Judaism party would not back the unseating of the head of the Hadash Ta'al party. Attorney Hassan Jabarin, director of the Adala Legal Center and legal counsel for MK Ayman Odeh, responded to the Knesset's failure to secure a majority, saying the Knesset may not have reached the required majority to remove MK Ayman Odeh, but the message is no less chilling. The overwhelming support for this initiative from both the coalition and the opposition reveals the state's intent to crush Palestinian political representation, he added. This was not a legitimate legal process, but rather a racist, fascist incitement campaign aimed at punishing Odeh for his principled stance against occupation, oppression, and Israeli violence. Israeli law was trampled, and even the most basic legal standards were disregarded, the lawyer said. Even without an expulsion, this sets a dangerous precedent. This process signals what lies ahead in the upcoming elections, a full-scale assault on the Arab public's political participation. The Netanyahu coalition has recently had trouble passing any legislation because the ultra-Orthodox parties have been boycotting all votes to protest the lack of progress on legislation to exempt them from the draft. Damn, nose itchy. The coalition crisis escalated even further yesterday as the ultra-Orthodox Degel HaTorah faction announced its resignation from the coalition. However, intergovernmental machinations were not the only roadblock to the removal of Odeh, despite opposition leader Yair Lapid's support of the move. As expected, parties representing Arab citizens, as well as the Zionist left wing, the Democrats, voted against the ousting. But so did several lawmakers from Lapid's centrist Yesh Atid and Benny Gantz's Blue and White after their parties allowed their MKs to vote according to their conscience. No blue and white lawmaker voted in favor of the move. 2 weeks ago, the Knesset House Committee voted to forward the ouster motion to the full Knesset. 14 MKs voted in favor of ousting Odeh, including 3 from the opposition. Only 2 MKs voted against, both from Arab parties. The motion to oust Odeh was submitted by MK Avichai Boran, the Likud party, based on a post the Arab leader published on Tweeters in January, in which he wrote that he rejoices over the release of the hostages and the prisoners. Now we have to free both peoples from the burden of the occupation we were all born from. Oh my God, such horrible things to say. This guy. Baran said that he also wanted Odeh ousted for saying that Gaza has won and Gaza will win during an anti-war demonstration in Haifa in May, but Knesset legal advisor Sajid Afik overruled that since that statement hadn't been included in the original motion signed by the 70 MKs. Early on Monday, Baran responded to the United Torah Judaism's decision to refrain from supporting the government's position in the vote, warning against linking the move to the ultra-Orthodox draft bill. It's wrong to time the national need to remove a terror supporter from the Knesset with the need to pass the draft law, Baron wrote on X. He also addressed the Haredi parties directly, saying, my Haredi brothers, after my Likud colleagues and I stood by your side on the draft issue, I say this with regret. If you don't support us in this vote to expel Oda, don't be surprised if we're not with you on the draft vote. It's not too late to fix this. You boys don't want to get in the mix. National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir also weighed in, asking, united toward Judaism or the Islamic movement? It's either us or you're either with us or the terrorists, as Bush said. Over the past week, several open letters opposing the ouster have been published, including one by 120 former MKs, among them former President Reuven Rivlin, former Prime Ministers Ehud Olmert and Ehud Barak, and former Ministers Dan Meridor, Mir Shitrit, and Zippy Livni. Another open letter was signed by 1,300 literary figures and intellectuals, including author David Grossman and editor and translator Helet Yeshurun. A third, organized by a group called Forum 555, was signed by 1,700 former IAF pilots. And maybe saying that Gaza was going to win that probably would have pissed him off, but just saying that, let's release the hostage. What the fuck are you talking about? I want to live in Israel, but now I want to live there. And apparently the bloodthirsty Israelis, even those propagandized people, they want a ceasefire. Netanyahu slams recent poll results showing majority support for ceasefire in Gaza. See if I can make this bigger. Yes, is it going to do it? No? Yeah, there we go. Ooh, that's huge. Giggity. All right, let's see how this works. So we can all read together. Pam Bondi. Yikes. Bibi slammed on Sunday the results of a recent opinion poll showing a majority of Israelis support a prisoner exchange deal with Hamas. Israel's Channel 12, which ran the poll, revealed on Friday that 74% of Israelis, including 60% of Netanyahu coalition voters, support concluding ceasefire prisoner swap deals with Hamas. Responding to the poll results, Netanyahu claimed the poll did not ask respondents whether they want Hamas to remain in Gaza or not, Channel 13 reported. These polls misled public opinion in Israel, he claimed, adding that Israeli media that accuses him of thwarting efforts to reach a prisoner exchange deal were merely repeating Hamas propaganda. He's projecting right there. In turn, the Hebrew newspaper Haaretz reported that Netanyahu slammed opinion polls and some TV channels, saying channels always repeat Hamas propaganda and they are always wrong. We accepted U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff's deal, and then Hamas rejected the version proposed agreement presented to us by the mediators because it wants to remain in Gaza, he said. Then he ate a baby. For a week, Qatar has been hosting a new round of indirect negotiations between Hamas and Israel with the aim of reaching a prisoner exchange agreement and a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. Hamas has repeatedly affirmed its willingness to release Israeli prisoners in one batch in exchange for an end to the genocidal war as Israeli military withdrawal from Gaza and Israeli military withdrawal from Gaza and the release of Palestinian prisoners. However, Bibi, who's wanted by the ICC and the ICJ, insists on partial deals that allow prolonging the war to ensure his continued rule by appeasing the most extreme faction in his right-wing government, according to the Israeli opposition. Yeah, so there you go. Bibi not happy with people who are like, we just want the president. I would, like I said, I think there's a sincere effort by particularly the families of these hostages, that they want their family members back, right? And we've heard Israelis who were captured and released and told their stories of captivity, and they were like, they treated us fine, Whereas if you go to an Israeli prison, a Palestinian doesn't get the same level of respect or any respect at all. Meanwhile, Palestinian-Israeli soccer player says Shin Bet threatened him over playing for Qatar club and Palestine team. That's the gentleman right there. Aladdin Hassan, a 25-year-old professional soccer player from the Arab town of Mashhad in northern Israel, says he's been subjected to multiple interrogations and threats by Israeli authorities over his decision to play for the Palestine national team and his current club Al Arabi in Qatar. Hassan, a winger, headed for a heartbreak, or as they said on Beavis and Butthead, winger. Has played for Al Arabi since February last year, following a 6-month stint with Bnei Saknin in Israel's Premier League. He began playing for the Palestine national team in September 2023. In an interview with Haaretz, Hassan described how his recent return home from Doha to attend his brother's wedding turned into a grueling encounter with the Israeli security establishment. On April 5th, upon arriving at Ben Gurion Airport from Doha, quote, I was detained and thoroughly searched by Israeli authorities, he said. I was then taken for a lengthy interrogation by the Shin Bet inside the airport that lasted nearly 9 continuous hours before I was released. They also confiscated my mobile phone, which they have yet to return. Hassan says the targeting didn't end there. 6 days later, he was summoned for further questioning to the Shin Bet office in Nazareth. Now you're messing with a son of a bitch. Sorry. Or if you like love hurts. The interrogation focused on my representation of the Palestinian national team, he said. Also, the officers were visibly angry about my decision to join Al Arabi SC, accusing me of aligning with what they consider a hostile state, referring to Qatar. According to Hassan, the investigators issued direct and explicit threats. A Shin Bet officer told me word for word, if it were up to us alone, we would have already revoked your citizenship, he recalled. They threatened to strip me of my nationality, to monitor me constantly, and to end my career. I was told I would remain under surveillance indefinitely. When Hassan arrived at the airport a few weeks later to return to Qatar, he was again subjected to interrogation and delays. My family members and close relatives were also threatened because of me, he added. In response, the Shin Bet told Haaretz that Hassan was questioned in April 2025 due to suspicions of links to terrorist elements abroad. It categorically denied Hassan's claim that his sports career and citizenship were threatened. Hassan's account sheds light on what many Palestinian citizens of Israel describe as a broader policy of intimidation and political pressure, especially targeting those who maintain strong ties with Palestinian and national identity. This isn't about me, Hassan said. Many Arab athletes and individuals from our community are being harassed. It's my legal, national, and moral right to represent Palestine. It's also my right to play in Qatar or any country I choose, and I refuse to represent Israel. The Israeli national team previously approached me, and I declined. Good for you. Hassan believes his case is a deliberate attempt to prosecute the freedom of political expression and sports diplomacy, particularly for Palestinian citizens of Israel who face growing scrutiny when participating in national Palestinian platforms, be it in art, culture, or sports. After years of playing on Maccabi Haifa and Beatar Kafr Kana's youth teams, Hassan made his professional debut in 2021 with Hapoel Kakab before signing with Kafr Qasim and later Hapoel Al-Fam. Hassan briefly played in the Israeli Premier League with Bnei Saknin in 2023 before joining Al Arabi in February. Al Arabi plays in Qatar's Stars League, the highest level of professional basketball in the country. In response to the incident, the Palestinian Football Association issued a statement on Tuesday condemning what it described as a serious violation against the national team player. The PFA expressed deep concern over what it called Israel's attempts to intimidate and punish athletes who represent Palestine on the international stage, and reaffirmed its support for Hassan and other players facing similar pressure. Right? You're seeing that with athletes. You're seeing that with singers at concerts. Oh, man, we're at the end. How about that? We're at the end of this. So let me get this here. I heard a little siren outside. So finally, for the end of our propaganda watch, we got James Lee here. And he's talking about FBI Director Kash Patel's mysterious girlfriend, Alexis Wilkins. Is she a honeypot? He's going to talk to this. It's a little lengthy. It's a little more longer than I usually go, but I think it's worth it. His videos usually go by pretty quick. You know what we'll do? We'll do this real quick. We'll do it at 125. I think that'll be okay. Then it won't be as long. All right. So this is James Lee talking about it. Let's watch.
The day has finally come when I truthed a little bit too hard and the powers that be has laid their hammer down onto me. I woke up this morning to this notification on my TikTok informing me that my account was banned for violating community guidelines, and then I was instantly logged out. Now keep in mind, my account was in good standing before this, so this definitely doesn't have anything to do with what I was saying and everything to do with who I was talking about. So let's get into it today. Is Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, caught up in an Israeli honeypot operation? Oh yeah, it's not going to be that easy to silence us. In fact, we're going even harder today. So you've probably heard by now, the Department of Justice has officially closed the book on Jeffrey Epstein. There's apparently no client list, no blackmail operation, nothing to see. Ghislaine Maxwell, she's just serving a 20-year sentence for absolutely no reason. And Jeffrey Epstein self-checked out right before a trial that had apparently no evidence. Yeah, nobody's buying it. So the question here is, how could this be happening? So over the last couple days, the attention has turned to FBI Director Kash Patel, specifically his much younger girlfriend, Alexis Wilkins, with some social media users wondering whether the FBI and the U.S. Justice Department's refusal to release the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients could have something to do with one Alexis Wilkins, the 26-year-old girlfriend of the 45-year-old FBI Director Kash Patel. Because remember, just to jog everybody's memory, here is what Kash Patel was publicly saying about the Epstein files just a few years ago.
You know, it's the same thing with Epstein's list. It's like, what the hell are these Republicans doing?
Oh, I saw you
give out the list.
I saw you make news this morning about that. I got to get to that.
Yeah.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. You don't think that Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list?
Funny the timing. 2023, Kash wanted the list out, and now it's 2025. He's the director. Suddenly the list is non-existent. Now the elephant in the room is, of course, who might be on that list. We know some of the most powerful people in the country, up to the president of the United States, past and current. But even beyond that, it's basically undeniable at this point that this so-called list is all about intelligence, specifically Epstein's ties to a certain foreign intelligence.
As part of our investigation, we spoke to Ari Ben-Mashani, who is a former Israeli spy. He said on the record unequivocally that Jeffrey Epstein was working for Israeli intelligence operations, the Mossad, and running a classic honey trap operation.
And this is where Alexis Wilkins comes into the story when she starts dating Kash Patel back in 2023. People online have been pointing to the fact that Alexis Wilkins works for PragerU, a media company that supposedly espouses American values, except for the fact that it is run by, and I can't even make this stuff up, a former Israeli intelligence officer serving in Unit 8200 of the IDF, which is akin to what the NSA would be here in the United States. Now, I did a bunch of digging, and, you know, coincidence or not, there's actually not a lot to go off of in terms of public information about Alexis Wilkins' background. What we do know for sure is that her father worked for Gillette and that her mother was in aerospace and pharmaceuticals. They lived in England and Switzerland before settling down in Fayetteville, Arkansas when Alexis was 9. And we also know that she attended College du Le Mans International School in Switzerland. That's pretty much it. Now, interestingly, ChatGPT is calling this a strange biographical gap, and it's citing that because she has no visible friend network or public high school/college cohort interviews, that this is sort of unusual for a public figure in entertainment, and that if, quote, a Mossad asset were inserted early in life, these gaps would be precisely where you'd hide alternate history or handler training. Dr. Simon Goddick posted on Twitter saying, quote, Alexis Wilkins is nearly 20 years younger than Kash and works for an NGO that's basically Israeli intelligence. He's talking about PragerU there. And seriously, why would an attractive young woman date a not so attractive Indian American?
Damn.
Classic honeypot. I mean, who are we to really judge who people are attracted to and who they're not attracted to? I mean, is this a honeypot or are they just madly in love? Only they would know the truth. And maybe this is just all one big coincidence. But What I will say is that whether or not this is a conspiracy, the outcome is the same. That powerful people are once again getting away with the most heinous crimes imaginable. And people like me, who are just out here asking questions, trying to hold people accountable, we're silenced. But for what it's worth, I'll leave you with ChatGPT's conclusion, pointing to Wilkins being a country singer, PragerU contributor, conservative speechwriter, and 19 years younger than Patel, positing, quote, "These are classic elements used in honeypot operations: soft power, ideological alignment, and sexual emotional entanglement." My name is James Lee. I want to know what you think. Is our government compromised at the highest level? Drop a comment below. Hopefully, I'll get my TikTok back. We'll see. I don't know. But it's clear powerful people are watching. So please, I could use your support now more than ever. So like, share, subscribe so we can continue to hold powerful people accountable.
Do you think, let's play out the logical conclusion of this. Do you think that myself, Bongino, and others would participate in hiding information about Epstein's grotesque activities? Or do you think we would also participate in not prosecuting people we had evidence to prosecute people on? Where's the videotape of an Epstein Island of X, Y, and Z committing these frauds? Why haven't you given it to us? Do you really think I wouldn't give that to you if it existed?
James Lee. Apparently he's starting a podcast with somebody too. I think they might have that information on his channel. So I like James Lee. He does good stuff. I think he exposes a lot of people, and he exposes a lot of this fucking propaganda bullshit and all the lies we're being told. For damn sure. Yeah, I mean, at this point, who's not compromised, right? Sexy tangles are not very sexy. Depends on what you're tangled with. Yeah, PragerU. What a piece of shit. That fucking garbage ass. Trash pit. What, okay. Ooh, excuse me. All right, here we are. Yeah, so that's it for the news stuff. We'll have a little fun story here in just a second. Just want to remind you, coming up later today, probably in about an hour and 10 minutes, our buddy Kevin, he's going to be on Black Bear News, hosting, of course, talking about all kinds of news and weather kind of stuff, climate stuff related, but also he's been hitting the more topical stuff too. If you could hook him up too with some money, he lost his home in the LA fires not that long ago and could really use your help. So his GoFundMe link is down below. And if you can't donate, if you could share out the link, that helps too. So, and we will have, as soon as I'm done with the show today, I'll have all the links up for all the stories here. So some of those, if you want to read that I didn't get to finish, I think it was just one maybe, and you want to, read more up on it, I'll have those links up here shortly. It's going to be a Google link, unfortunately, but it links to a Google Doc that you all can look at. So, finally, today, this week, the Chinese, man, we go in and blow up shit, and Chinese come in and build bridges and stuff like that. Yeah, I know there's some shady people in China. Don't trust China 100%, but look at their works, see what they're doing, right? So, if you've ever been around construction sites and stuff, especially there's a lot of smoke and there's a lot of, dust and stuff like that. You're just walking down the street. You don't want any part of that shit, right? Well, they figured it out in China how to solve that issue. And they have, China uses the world's largest inflatable balloon to make urban construction cleaner and quieter. Look at this big thing. It looks like the Metrodome. Live at the Metrodome. We're going to fill the Metrodome up to the roof with mud. Truckzilla. So apparently it's the world's largest. In order to keep dust and noise pollution to a minimum, Chinese authorities in the city of Jinan have installed the world's largest inflatable dome over an area of 20,000 square meters. Urban construction is a dirty business that affects large areas around the construction site, but a unique project in Jinan, China is proof that large construction projects can be isolated to reduce noise and pollution, helping to protect nearby communities and the environment. All you need is a big-ass inflatable balloon. They say giant. I put big-ass. The first of its kind in China and reportedly the largest in the world, the inflatable dome of Jinan is 50 meters high, and that's about 150 feet or more, and covers an area of 20,000 square meters. It uses negative pressure and advanced air filtration systems to prevent dust from escaping into nearby areas, but also to ensure that air remains breathable for the workers. Using transparent materials for the giant construction balloon ensures that enough sunlight shines through, thus minimizing the need for artificial light during the day. Using constant air pressure to keep the dome inflated means that there is no need for beams or support columns, and the design allows for quick assembly and dismantling so it can quickly be deployed at another site when construction is complete. Local officials say the project is part of a broader effort to implement greener, more sustainable construction practices in urban areas. Although it curbs dust dispersion in the surrounding area, it also acts as a sound barrier against the noise made by heavy construction machinery. If it proves a success in Jinan, China, China plans to deploy more such inflatable domes across the entire country. Although there is little room for doubt when it comes to the balloon's capacity to isolate construction areas, it would be interesting to see what conditions are like for the people working inside it. And we could just do a thing here. Turn that down. We don't really need that. So, look at that thing. Like over 150 feet tall, and I guess it expands as the because those other buildings are much taller around it, right? You need a real honey. You need real honey for your pot. Fake honey is no good. You're open for a honey pot, Steve? Yeah. So yeah, I want to see what it looks like on the inside. She seems very happy. She likes it. Now, over here in Chicago, they have, like, during the winter, they have these domes. These for the soccer players, right? So during the winter that they can practice and stuff. And it's inflatable too. It doesn't have, they roll out this thing every winter, and they roll out this huge. I would say it's probably, man, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 feet tall. And it's just inflated, man. That's the way to do it. Until somebody with a lawn dart comes along and pops it, lawn darts. You don't want that. That'll ruin your picnic. All right. Well, that's going to be it for me. Just to let you know, Friday during our propaganda watch, our buddy Franco at Frank Analysis just put out a video talking about the relationship of the United States and Iran since the 50s, since the coup there. And it's about a 13-minute video, but it's really, it talks about not only just the history, but just the mindset of why it's like how Americans think, oh, well, they've always hated us. Iran's always hated us. That's not the case at all. And so it'll be an interesting video to watch that. And I'm looking forward to doing that on Friday when we're back at the same time, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Mountain, 8 a.m. Pacific time on Friday. In the meantime, be sure you're checking out our peeps over here. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to their shows. Really good, smaller, independent channels like ours that just trying to make a difference, trying to help people, trying to educate, and talk about the things you want to talk about. That's going to do it for me. I love and appreciate every one of you guys that showed up today to hang out and get informed of all the bad news today. I will see you again come Friday. Peace out, everybody.
This is SETI Alpha 5! Woo!